Tonight, we return to Olympus. Not the Olympus of thunder, or judgment, or triumph, but the quiet Olympus that only appears when the winds fall still. A place where the sky softens into silver clouds. A place where whispers travel farther than shouts. Where memories linger long after voices fade. And where the old stories wait for someone gentle enough to listen. You have walked with us through many halls of the immortals. You have heard Zeus speak in his calm, commanding breath. You have wandered beside Hera as she revealed truths hidden behind the throne. You have glimpsed Poseidon and Hades, each guarding their own domains of storm and shadow. You have followed Athena, whose quiet mind unraveled the fabric of ideas behind every war ever fought. Piece by piece, the great mosaic of Olympus has unfolded, and tonight, another piece falls into place. A piece many fear, a piece many avoid, a piece long misunderstood. Tonight, we speak the quiet truth of Ares, not the roar of battle, not the rage of war, but the Ares who exists when all noise is stripped away, the Ares who watches humanity from the edge of dawn, the Ares who carries silence deeper than any god alive. This is the part of him no clashing sword could reveal, no battlefield hymn could capture, no legend of victory or defeat could fully explain. This is the whisper beneath the armor, the calm pulse behind the storm, the quiet force Olympus has always relied upon, even when pretending not to. Before we begin, breathe with the mountain air. Let the cold clouds drift past you. Let the starlight rest on your shoulders like a soft cloak. Hear the wind carry distant echoes of gods you already know. Zeus, with thunder still humming beneath his ribs. Hera, with her measured breath and her patient, simmering power. Poseidon, shifting the tides with a restless sigh. Hades, calm as an ancient stone buried deep beneath the earth. Athena, sharp and serene, turning the world like a quiet gear. And then, another presence, heavier, older, quieter than all of them. A presence that moves not with the breeze, but against it. A warmth like a furnace banked low. A heartbeat that echoes through the bones of the world. Ares, the god who is never truly absent, even when the world believes him gone, even when Olympus pretends he is unnecessary, even when poets reduce him to a single word, war. Tonight, we look deeper, not as warriors, not as philosophers, but as travelers seeking the stillness beneath the storm. Every god begins with a whisper before they become a legend. And Ares has whispered far longer than he has shouted. So we begin where all quiet truths begin, with a memory that belongs to no single god, yet shapes all of them. A memory of the first days, when Olympus was young, when the stones of the throne were still warm from the forging, when the air trembled with the aftermath of Titanfall, when Zeus claimed the sky, Poseidon claimed the sea, Hades claimed the depths, and Hera, queen of queens, began shaping Olympus into a kingdom. In those early days, Athena had not yet emerged in her brilliance. Hermes had not yet laughed his first mischievous laugh. Dionysus had not yet danced his first ecstatic dance. But Ares was there, a child of thunder and wrath, a spark of fire carried from the forge of rebellion, a small, wordless force wrapped in the hands of Hera. While Zeus stood as king, it was Hera who held the future. She cradled her son with a fierceness the poets never mention, not because she feared for him, but because she feared what he would become. Ares learned silence first, not war, not rage, silence. He watched as the gods argued, as the world cracked and mended itself, as mortals first walked beneath the sky, afraid of everything they did not yet understand. Ares understood their fear before any other god did, because fear is the beginning of courage, and courage is the beginning of him. Olympus forgets this, mortals forget this, but Ares does not. Ares has never forgotten anything. It is why he sits alone in so many stories, why he watches the world long after battles end, why he lingers at the edges of Olympus like a guardian who no one sees but everyone depends on. Tonight, as we settle on the mountain's peak, the clouds part gently. You feel the cool marble beneath your feet. You see the faint golden glow of the palace above. And you sense the presence of gods watching from the shadows of colonnades and forgotten chambers. Olympus breathes around you. It recognizes you. You have come far in this journey. You have earned the right to hear this whisper. Athena steps forward first, not in armor, not with her shining spear, but with the quiet grace of a traveler who understands the weight of knowledge. She pauses beside you, her eyes reflecting the flicker of distant fires below. You know my story, she says softly, and by knowing mine, you now see the other half. A warm wind passes between you, the scent of iron, of earth, of fire smoldering under ash. Ares is near, but he does not approach like Zeus with thunder. He does not appear in a blaze of sea foam like Poseidon. He does not rise from shadow like Hades. He exists like something ancient, waiting, the first heartbeat before the first shout, the tension before the first step into bravery, the breath before a soldier whispers a last prayer. You hear him before you see him, a slow rhythm, steel drawn across stone, not harsh, not violent, but steady, measured, like a metronome guiding the world's courage. This sound has echoed across centuries, across continents, across the quiet moments before every mortal act of bravery. Ares' presence gathers like a shadow of warmth behind you, not threatening, not imposing, simply there, as he has always been. But tonight, he allows you to hear the quiet part of him, the part only Athena has ever witnessed clearly, and the mountain air thickens, as if Olympus leans closer to listen. Ares does not speak yet, but his silence speaks for him, a silence that says, I am not the storm. I am the heartbeat that gives the storm meaning. The sky softens, the wind stills. Even the distant fires on the mortal plains below seem to dim. This moment belongs to him, to the Ares who does not scream, to the Ares who does not revel in chaos, to the Ares who understands that every act of courage, every act of defense, every sacrifice ever made, begins in stillness. Athena turns to you again. Her voice is a whisper of wind brushing against stone. Listen closely, she says, for Ares does not reveal himself often. And when he does, it is never to those who seek only his fury. You do not move, you do not breathe. The mountain does that for you. Ares continues to sharpen his blade, the sound now a soft echo in the chambers of Olympus' heart. It is not preparation for battle. It is ritual, memory, meditation. A reminder to himself that even a god must maintain the tools that shape the world, because courage, like steel, dulls without care. Hera's whisper returns to you then. From the stories she once shared, she spoke of the weight of motherhood, of the fear that a child might inherit the worst parts of his parents, of the burden of watching a son grow into a force neither she nor Zeus fully understood. And as the wind shifts, you swear you feel her presence lingering behind Ares, her hand on his shoulder, her regret, her pride, her unspoken hope that one day someone would understand what she created. The sound of the sharpening stone slows. Ares stands, not with thunder, not with spectacle, but with the kind of quiet power that makes the world listen without being asked. He steps into view, tall, dark, calm. His armor does not shine like Athena's. It absorbs the firelight, like a night sky swallowing stars. His eyes are not wild, they are steady, old, carrying storms he never unleashed and wounds he never admitted. For a long moment, he simply looks at you, not as a god looks upon a mortal, not as a warrior studies a foe, but as a force studies another force, measuring, weighing, understanding. Behind him, the silent fields of the world stretch endlessly. Every sunrise he has watched, every act of bravery he has witnessed, every heartbeat he has carried through centuries. He speaks only when the world becomes quiet enough to hear him. And tonight, it is. A long road has led you here, Ares says softly. His voice is low, like embers shifting under ash. You know my father's thunder. You know my mother's sorrow. You know my uncle's judgment. You know my aunt's tides. And you know the mind of my sister. Now you will know me. He steps closer. The air warms, not with heat but with a familiar, human feeling. The feeling that fills your chest the moment before you face something difficult. The feeling of standing your ground, the feeling of being alive. War, he continues, is the name they gave me. But that is not who I am. I am the flame that keeps a frightened heart from breaking. I am the step forward when every instinct begs for retreat. I am the breath before the leap. I am the courage that lives inside the quiet. Athena lowers her gaze, not in submission, but in recognition, in truth, in acceptance of something she has long avoided. Ares stands at the edge of the mountain, looking down across the mortal world. He watches the faint glow of torchlight in distant villages. He watches the winding rivers reflecting the moon. He watches the tiny movements of mortals living lives that rise and fall faster than the beat of his heart. They fear me, he says gently, and yet they call for me every day, when they defend their homes, when they stand for what is right, when they protect the weak, when they rise after many falls. I am there. His voice softens even further. And they do not even know my name in those moments. The wind brushes past you. You feel the truth settle deeper. This is not the Ares spoken of in war hymns. This is not the Ares poets mocked. This is the Ares who has always been there, in every quiet act of bravery humanity has ever offered. Ares turns back to you. To know me, he says quietly, you must understand courage. And courage begins where silence begins. He looks toward Athena. She nods once, slow, respectful, ready. And just like that, the story begins. Not with the sound of battle, not with the scream of war, but with a whisper from Olympus. A whisper that has waited across ages for someone calm enough to hear it. A whisper that leads us deeper into the quiet heart of the god called Ares. High above the mortal world, Olympus sleeps beneath a sky of iron blue. The winds move softly, as if afraid to disturb whatever rests in the highest chambers of the gods. This is the hour when Zeus is most dangerous. Not when thunder cracks, not when storms gather, but when nothing moves at all. Silence is his true dominion. Silence, and the weight of a king who knows he does not need to raise his voice to be obeyed. Some say Zeus rules with lightning, but those who have truly stood before him know better. He rules with stillness, with eyes that see too much, with a presence that bends the air long before he speaks. And for most of Olympus, that is enough to inspire obedience, fear, loyalty, caution. Every god bows, not because thunder frightens them, but because Zeus chooses when not to strike. That is the terror no one speaks of. The terror of a king who does not need to show force to control it, except for one, only Ares. On this mountain, where power sleeps beneath marble, Ares stands unshaken, not defiant, not disrespectful, but utterly unafraid. The shadows of Zeus slide over him like smoke over a stone. They do not alter him, do not bend him, do not command him. Ares has never bowed to thunder, never trembled at a glare cast from the throne, never lowered his eyes when Zeus walked past, because Ares carries his own storm, a storm Zeus himself placed within him, a fire older than mortal kingdoms, a fire that cannot be extinguished by lightning because it is lightning's twin. And Zeus knows this. Zeus has always known. It is why he watches Ares differently from the others, not with suspicion, not with impatience, but with a specific, attentive quiet. The quiet of a king measuring the one person he cannot fully command. The quiet of a father watching a son who might one day stand beside him or opposite him. And more than anything, the quiet of a strategist analyzing his greatest weapon. Because Ares is not the god of chaos. He is not the god of rage. He is not the mindless storm mortals imagine him to be. He is the one force Zeus can send where even Zeus cannot be seen. Zeus may sit on the throne, but Ares moves in its shadow. When Zeus needs a boundary enforced but cannot appear cruel, he sends Ares. When Zeus needs a rebellion crushed but cannot descend himself, he sends Ares. When Zeus needs the world reminded of who holds the sky, he sends Ares. And Ares never hesitates. Not because he is obedient, he is not. Not because he is loyal, his loyalty is selective. And Zeus knows this. Ares acts because the world moves only when something forces it to. Zeus understands that. Ares embodies that. Together, they maintain a balance mortals never see. A balance built not on peace, but on controlled fire. A fire Zeus harnesses with frightening precision. Ares is the silent blade of the sky. He is the unspoken threat behind the throne. He is the answer to questions Zeus does not want recorded in any myth or scroll. And whenever the order of Olympus trembles, it is Ares who steadies it. Whether the other gods acknowledge it or not, far below the golden halls, far from the eyes of curious immortals, an older truth begins to emerge. A truth whispered only between two gods who understand the weight of power. Zeus rules Olympus, but Ares maintains it. Zeus sets the laws, but Ares enforces the consequences. Zeus wears the crown, but Ares carries the fear that keeps that crown unchallenged. This dynamic is never spoken aloud. It does not need to be. For centuries, Zeus has watched his brothers Poseidon and Hades harbor their quiet resentments. He has watched the minor gods scheme in corners, each dreaming of domains greater than their own. He has watched the Olympian court shift with alliances as fickle as the winds. Zeus trusts none of them, not entirely, not even his favorites, except Ares. Not because Ares is obedient, but because Ares is predictable in a way the others are not. Ares does not hide his intentions. Ares does not conspire in shadows. Ares does not weave delicate plots or deceive with honeyed words. Everything Ares does is straightforward, direct, violent, yes, but never treacherous. He is the only god Zeus can read clearly, and therefore, the only one Zeus can rely on when the throne is threatened. Whenever Olympus trembles, Ares stands firm, not for Zeus, not for the laws, not even for Olympus itself. He stands firm because chaos disgusts him. Not the chaos of war, the chaos of weakness, the chaos of indecision, the chaos of gods, too afraid to take action. Zeus recognizes that disgust because it mirrors his own. Zeus hates cowardice, Ares hates it more. In this way, they are mirrors, two forces that understand the necessity of strength, two forces who see weakness as the beginning of downfall. Two forces bound not by affection, but by purpose. One rules. One reminds the world why he rules. This is the true shadow of Zeus, not darkness, but the silhouette of a god shaped like a soldier carved from thunder. Zeus created Ares for this, to hold the line when Zeus cannot be seen, to act when Zeus must remain distant, to speak when Zeus must remain silent. Every kingdom requires a sword. Ares is Zeus' sword, a sword sharp enough to cut the world into obedience, a sword heavy enough to deter even the boldest challenger, a sword forged in Hera's womb but shaped by Zeus' will. And every so often, on nights when Olympus sleeps beneath unmoving stars, Zeus summons Ares to the high terrace of the palace. No heralds, no ceremony, no witnesses, just a king standing beside the only god who matches his stillness. The air tightens between them, two storms recognizing one another. Zeus speaks little during these meetings. He never commands outright. He simply describes a situation, a border violated, a mortal king growing bold, a titan stirring in the deep, a rumor that must disappear, a prophecy needing correction. And Ares listens, carefully, silently, calmly. He asks no questions. He does not need to. Zeus gives no orders. He does not need to. Between them, the understanding is ancient. Ares is the force Zeus unleashes when the world requires clarity. Clarity delivered through consequence. Clarity delivered through decisive action. Clarity delivered through the terrifying calm that precedes catastrophe. And though no one speaks of these meetings, all of Olympus feels their aftermath. When Ares descends from the palace, the air shifts. The clouds coil like serpents. The world seems to brace itself for something inevitable. The other gods avoid his path, not out of fear of Ares, but fear of what he has been sent to do. Because every god knows that when Ares moves with purpose, Zeus is moving with him. There is no force more absolute than a king whose weapon is already airborne. The connection between them is not affection. It is not trust. It is mutual recognition. Both understand the burden of control. Both understand the cost of power. Both understand what must be done to keep Olympus from tearing itself apart. Zeus could never burden Athena with such tasks. She is strategy, thought, precision too rational for the darkest necessities. He could never burden Apollo. He shines too brightly to wade in the places where shadows are required. He could never burden Hermes. He would twist the tasks into jokes or curiosities. He could never burden Artemis or Demeter or Dionysus. They are forces of life, not instruments of enforcement. Only Ares can bear this weight. Only Ares is shaped for it. Only Ares understands what Zeus demands. And only Ares is unafraid of the consequences. Because Ares does not fear Zeus. He respects Zeus, yes. He acknowledges Zeus. He listens to Zeus. But fear is something Ares abandoned long before Olympus crowned its king. It is not in his nature, not in his veins, not in his shadow. And Zeus has never tried to break that. He needs Ares unbroken. He needs Ares sharp. He needs Ares unpredictable to others but always predictable to him. The gods whisper about this relationship. They wonder why Zeus tolerates Ares' temper, why he accepts Ares' defiance, why he does not punish Ares the way he punishes others. But they misunderstand the dynamic entirely. Zeus does not tolerate Ares. Zeus utilizes him. Zeus does not forgive Ares. Zeus relies on him. Ares is not uncontrolled. He is precisely controlled by being allowed to roam. Like lightning placed in a sheath, like fire allowed a single open vent. If Zeus tried to chain Ares, he would lose his greatest weapon. But by letting Ares remain free, he keeps him within reach. Ares understands this. It is why he does not rebel. It is why he does not challenge the throne. Not because he fears Zeus, but because he recognizes the throne as the keystone of a world he must maintain. Without Zeus, Olympus fractures. Without Olympus, war loses purpose. Without purpose, courage fades. Without courage, the world collapses inward. Ares does not protect Zeus. He protects meaning, and Zeus knows this. In this understanding, they are bound. Not father and son, not commander and soldier, but two storms orbiting the same center, two edges of the same blade, two forces whose power complements rather than contradicts. For all his strength, Zeus is vulnerable in ways he never admits. He carries the sky, he carries the weight of prophecy, he carries the fear that one day, Olympus will face a rebellion greater than the Titanomachy. And when that day comes, Zeus knows who will stand at the front lines, not Athena, not Apollo, not Hermes, not the minor gods who bow with trembling devotion. Ares, the god who does not bow, the god who does not fear, the god who does not hesitate. In the throne room, Ares is the only one who meets Zeus' eyes without flinching, the only one whose silence is equal to Zeus' silence, the only one whose presence does not diminish beneath the king's shadow but deepens it. Zeus sees him, Ares sees him, and somewhere between that mutual recognition lies the truth of Olympus' stability, the truth the world forgets. Zeus may be king, but Ares is inevitability. Zeus may issue decrees, but Ares makes them real. Zeus may wear the crown, but Ares is the shadow that keeps it untouchable. Every empire needs fear. Every kingdom needs consequence. Every throne needs the whisper of danger beneath it. Ares is that whisper, a whisper shaped into a god, a whisper that speaks for Zeus when Zeus must remain silent, a whisper the world heeds even before thunder rolls. And so the mountain stands. The king sits upon his throne of stormlight, and in the darkest hour of Olympus, where only the eternal wind dares move, Ares waits just beyond the torchlight. Quiet, steady, unbroken, the shadow Zeus does not cast but the shadow Zeus depends on. On the highest terrace of Olympus, where the air is thin and the marble glows faintly under moonlight, there is a memory carved into silence. It belongs not to Zeus, nor to Athena, nor to any council of gods. It belongs to Hera alone. Hera, the queen of Olympus. Hera, whose gaze can bend storms and steady thrones. Hera, who sees the future not in prophecy, but in patterns. And long before the world knew his name, long before Ares marched across battlefields, long before the first armor was forged, Hera made a decision that would change the fate of Olympus. She would create a child without Zeus. Not from love, not from longing, but from strategy, from pride, from the cold, perfect logic of a queen who understood that power must be balanced, and Zeus had just tipped the scales. When Athena burst from the skull of Zeus, born of thought, born of stormlight, born of the mind of a king, Hera watched the heavens tremble. It was not Athena's brilliance that unsettled her. Hera admired brilliance. No, it was the statement Zeus had made. Zeus had created a goddess without her, a goddess of war, a goddess of wisdom, a goddess shaped entirely in his image, without Hera's touch, without Hera's consent, without Hera's presence. That act was more than creation. It was dominance, a quiet declaration that Zeus could build Olympus on his own if he wished. Hera felt the message beneath the spectacle. I do not need you. And Hera, queen, strategist, equal to Zeus in power if not in domain, refused to let that stand. So, she planned, not in bitterness, not in rage, but in the measured, flawless movements of a queen who knew exactly what she must do. If Zeus created Athena as his perfect weapon, then Hera would create one of her own, a force not of thought, but of pure will, not the calm of strategy, but the fire of action, not calculation, but instinct sharpened into inevitability, a counterweight, a counterforce, a god who would stand toe-to-toe with Athena, and by extension with Zeus himself. The world would call him Ares. But Hera knew his true purpose before he ever drew breath. He was balance. He was correction. He was the proof that Hera could shape the cosmos without Zeus. When Hera created Ares, the sky did not crack. The earth did not tremble. There was no spectacle, no roaring storm, no sudden burst of divine light. Creation through wrath was Zeus' style. Creation through precision was hers. She willed Ares into being the way only a queen can quietly, flawlessly, without error. He emerged in a cradle of gold and iron, his small hands clenched, not in fear, but in readiness. Even as an infant, he radiated something no other god possessed: the pulse of action, the hunger for motion, the instinct to rise. Zeus' children thought before acting. Hera's child acted because not acting was impossible. When Hera lifted him for the first time, she felt the truth in her bones. This child was not the echo of Athena. He was the answer, the equal, the counterbalance to the sky-born daughter of Zeus. She looked into his newborn eyes and saw no fear, no confusion, no softness, only a fierce, unwavering attachment to life, a fire that had not yet chosen its purpose but refused to be extinguished. This was what Hera wanted. This was what Hera designed: a living force, a raw flame, a god who could not be shaped by rhetoric or reason alone, a god who would shape himself. At first, Olympus admired her creation. The other gods approached the child with curiosity. They whispered their praises: strong, vigorous, fearless. Zeus himself watched with a gaze unreadable, silent and heavy, calculating the way only he could. He knew what Hera had done. He recognized the challenge in her actions, but he said nothing. He understood too well the meaning of balance, and Hera, proud and unwavering, lifted her chin as if to say, "Let the world see what I can build without you." But creation is the easy part. It is what comes after that tests a god. Hera expected Ares to reflect her will, to follow her structure, to move according to her strategies. She imagined raising him as a queen raises a weapon, carefully, deliberately, with control. She imagined shaping him into the perfect force to counter Athena's brilliance. But Ares was not a vessel waiting to be filled. He was a storm waiting to be born. And Hera, for all her mastery of governance and social order, did not understand storms, not truly. She understood courts, alliances, manipulation, elegance, precision. But Ares was none of those things. Ares was pure momentum, a living embodiment of decision, not strategy, certainty, not patience, presence, not intellect, instinct. He grew quickly, as gods do, and with every passing year, Hera realized something she would never admit aloud. Ares did not bend. Ares did not soften. Ares did not obey. He followed her, yes. He learned from her, yes. But he did not belong to her. He belonged to himself. Ares did not seek approval. He did not seek reassurance. He did not seek praise. He simply was, a force unto himself. And this terrified Hera far more than she showed, because she had created him alone, because she had shaped him without Zeus, because she had no one to share the burden or the blame. Every time Ares displayed his fierce independence, Hera felt a tremor of unease beneath her pride. Not because he acted wrongly, Ares almost never did, but because he acted freely. And freedom, Hera knew, was the most dangerous trait a god could possess. Freedom without oversight led to chaos. Freedom without allegiance led to rebellion. Freedom without structure led to the dissolution of kingdoms. Ares was all of these things waiting to unfold. He was possibility wrapped in armor, potential hardened into muscle and instinct. A god who could either stabilize Olympus or shatter it. Hera could not read him. That was the problem. She could predict Zeus' fury. She could predict Athena's reasoning. She could predict Apollo's ego, Artemis' solitude, Hermes' mischief, even Poseidon's temper. But Ares? Ares was unpredictability incarnate. Not because he was chaotic, but because he was unfiltered, primitive in a divine way, elemental. He acted as the world does immediately, directly, honestly. And Hera did not know how to control honesty. She knew how to control behavior, words, politics, appearances. But Ares had no interest in any of these. He was truth made flesh. Brutal, beautiful truth. A truth Hera had invented yet could not refine. And in her inability to shape him, something subtle happened. Something small at first, but growing year by year. Ares began to feel it. Not in words, not in punishments, but in Hera's gaze, in Hera's silence, in the way she watched him, the way kings watch storms, measuring, anticipating, preparing. Ares felt the distance, that cold, careful distance of a creator evaluating her creation. He felt it in the way Hera taught him, never gently, always efficiently, never lovingly, always intentionally. Hera did not cradle Ares. Hera sharpened him. And children, even divine ones, know the difference. He felt it whenever Athena passed by, receiving praise from Zeus with effortless grace. He felt it when the golden halls echoed with admiration for Athena's calm wisdom. He felt it when Hera's jaw tightened, just slightly, at the mention of her rival's name. And Ares, who understood emotion instinctually, tasted something bitter without knowing its word. Something like exclusion, something like distance, something like being made for a purpose, not for love. He would never admit this, not to the gods, not to Hera, not even to himself. But that small wound, the wound of purpose without affection, became the first spark of his anger. A primal, directionless anger, not at Hera, not at Zeus, not at Athena, at existence itself, at the pressure of being born as a counterweight, at being designed, not chosen, at being expected to embody something before he understood what he was. And Hera, who saw the world in lines and patterns, noticed this spark. She did not soothe it. She studied it. She examined it as a scholar examines a weapon's flaw. She wondered if she could fix it. She wondered if she should. But Hera was a queen first, a mother second. She did not address wounds. She reinforced armor. She did not quiet storms. She redirected them. So she gave Ares tasks, training, instruction, purpose. She treated him not as a son, but as a soldier, a tool, a living correction to Athena's existence. Ares learned discipline. He learned war. He learned the deep call of courage. He learned the laws by which mortals survive. He learned the pulse of battle not as destruction, but as transformation. But what he never learned was comfort. He never learned softness. He never learned stability. And because Hera could not control him, she distanced herself from him, not maliciously, not cruelly, strategically, coldly. As a queen distancing herself from a weapon she can no longer predict, the result was inevitable. Ares began to distance himself as well. Quietly, naturally, instinctively. He learned self-reliance. He learned isolation. He learned that no hand would steady him except his own. And beneath all that strength, all that confidence, all that forward momentum, a silent ache formed. A small, invisible ache. The ache of a child built for a purpose he did not consent to. The ache of a god shaped by a mother who feared what she had created. The ache of being born from pride, not partnership. Ares would never show this wound. He would bury it under armor and instinct and motion. But the wound shaped him. It sharpened him. It gave him the edge that made him both unstoppable and unreachable. And Hera, though she would never admit it. Understood that she had created not an answer to Athena but an equal to Zeus, not in domain, not in authority, but in danger. Zeus' danger was thunder. Ares' danger was direction. Zeus commanded storms. Ares became one. And no matter how hard Hera tried, she could not unmake what she had made. She could not rewrite the purpose she had forged. She could not soften the fire she had kindled. Ares was hers, but not under her, not beside her, not with her. He was simply born of her and then beyond her. And this failure, this collapse of control, this unraveling of intention, is what shaped both of them. Hera learned that power cannot be engineered without consequence. Ares learned that he could rely only on himself. Their bond became a quiet, distant thing. Not hatred, not resentment, but a cold acknowledgement of what they each lacked. A queen without the loyalty she desired, a son without the affection he needed. And in that distance, in that flawless, calculated distance, Ares' anger found a home. Not a loud anger, not a destructive anger, a quiet, simmering anger. The kind of anger that moves mountains, the kind of anger that sharpens gods, the kind of anger that turns a child born from pride into a god worshipped for fearlessness. Ares would never be Athena's counterweight. He would never be Hera's instrument. He would never be Zeus' pawn. He would become something else entirely. The god who acts, the god who moves, the god who carries both the wound of his creation and the strength born from it. Hera created him as a balance, but Ares became a force, not her force, not Zeus' force, not Olympus' force, a force unto himself. The child of Hera and the god no one could ever truly control. Night descends over the mortal world like a soft veil laid across a restless heartbeat. The sky grows darker with a kind of deliberate slowness, as if giving the world time to exhale before the weight of silence settles fully upon it. Athena moves through this silence as though born from it. Her chariot glides above the clouds without a whisper, its wheels cutting through mist like the edge of a thought slicing through confusion. She holds the reins loosely, as if the horses know the path better than she does. Perhaps they do, for the night itself seems to lean toward a single destination, a place waiting, a presence waiting, Ares. But she does not seek him as judge or rival, not tonight. Tonight she seeks him as a mind seeks an unanswered question, as a strategist seeks the missing variable in a pattern that stretches beyond the mortal world. Her expression is unreadable, carved from patience and discipline, but her eyes are alive with quiet calculation, watching every shift of moonlight across the world below. She does not hurry. Athena never hurries, even when war calls, even when prophecy stirs, even when her heart grows heavy with the knowledge she alone must hold. Haste is for those who fear they will be late. Athena is never late. So she lets the night unfold around her, every shadow a companion, every breath of wind a messenger. The mortal plains stretch beneath her like a tapestry woven from dim lanterns and sleeping fields. Here and there, fires smolder where conflicts flickered hours earlier. Small skirmishes, human quarrels, the sort of unrest Ares watches with the same attention a sculptor gives to raw stone. Athena studies each town, each battlefield, each place where courage rose or faltered. She reads them the way others read constellations, patterns, predictable and unpredictable all at once. She does not look for Ares directly. She looks for the imprint he leaves upon the world. A rhythm, a pulse, a thinning of fear, or a sharpening of it. Because where Ares goes, the world breathes differently. She has always known this, even in the early days of Olympus, when she first walked among the mortals and felt the trembling spark of courage inside them. She recognized a force shaping them, pushing them, testing them, a force she did not control, a force she could not control. Ares. He has always been the unpredictable counterpoint to her precision. The edge she cannot predict, the fire she cannot extinguish, the instinct she cannot outthink. And yet, the older she becomes, the more clearly she sees that instinct is not chaos. It is simply a different language. Ares speaks it fluently. She does not yet. That is why she travels tonight, to understand the language of fire, to see her brother not as the world sees him, nor as Olympus fears him, but as he truly is beneath the armor. The chariot dips lower through a bank of silver clouds. A soft gust brushes her hair back, carrying with it the faintest hint of iron and smoke. Not the acrid smoke of destruction, a quieter smoke, controlled, contained, a watchfire, a presence. Her gaze sharpens. Ares is close. She slows the chariot until the horses descend of their own accord, hooves touching the cold night air as though stepping onto invisible steps. The clouds part, and there, far ahead, a dim pulse of red glows against the darkness. A single fire, small, steady, deliberate. She feels the weight behind it before she sees him. Ares is not a god one finds through logic. One finds him the way one finds the center of gravity felt, not seen. Her chariot settles on a ridge overlooking a long, empty battlefield. The earth below is silent now, the remnants of earlier clashes scattered like discarded thoughts. Shields overturned, spears broken, footprints hardened into the dirt. No bodies remain. Hermes has already done his work. Only echoes linger. Athena steps down from the chariot with the grace of one who knows every motion has meaning. Her armor barely glints. She does not come dressed for war. She comes dressed for clarity, for conversation woven through silence. Her eyes rest on the single fire burning at the far edge of the plain. Ares sits beside it like a statue carved from shadow and ember. His back is to her, but she knows he senses her. Ares always senses motion in a world grown still. Athena does not approach immediately. She stands in the quiet, letting the night settle around her feet, letting the magnitude of the moment breathe. Her mind is already working, not racing, working, fitting possibilities together, eliminating futile paths, leaving only the truth. She has spent centuries interpreting the world through logic. Tonight she must interpret it through instinct. A difficult task for a goddess built from reason, but necessary. She walks toward him slowly, each step a metronome of calm resolve. The firelight touches the edges of her armor, turning silver to pale gold. Ares remains still. His shoulders rise and fall with steady breaths. The flickering red glow outlines the curve of his helm, the heavy plates of his armor, the quiet shape of a god made for motion yet so often found in stillness. Athena stops a few paces behind him. She says nothing. Silence is the first language of the night, and Ares speaks it fluently. The fire crackles softly. Wind moves across the plain, shifting ash and memory. Minutes pass with the slow, deliberate patience only immortals possess. Finally, Ares' voice breaks the quiet, not loud, not sharp, but low, as though pulled directly from the embers. You came. Not a question, a statement carved from certainty. Athena's reply is calm, measured, wrapped in layers of thought. I needed to see. Ares does not turn. He stares ahead into the horizon, into the nothingness where battles begin and end. More silence. Athena feels its shape. Ares is not denying her presence. He is measuring it, weighing it, allowing it. She steps to his side, lowering herself onto a flat stone opposite the fire. Their eyes meet across the flames, and the world seems to narrow to that single point of connection. The fire pops softly, Ares breathes out. Athena inhales. Neither speaks. Words would be too heavy. Thoughts would be too loud. This moment is built for stillness, for understanding carried in the spaces between sound. The flames swirl, as if responding to some unspoken current between them. Athena searches his face, reading lines of strength carved by centuries of purpose. Ares reads hers, seeing not coldness but calculations softened by sincerity. She has come with questions, but not interrogation. She seeks truth, not conflict. Ares knows this. His gaze lowers to the fire. Then he says, barely above a whisper, "Walk with me." He stands. Athena rises as well, nodding once. Ares moves without sound, his armor shifting like smoke around him. She follows, not behind, not ahead, beside. Two gods descending into the quiet heart of the night. No words trail after them, only the measured cadence of their steps and the soft breath of a world holding its peace. Athena feels the earth beneath her feet, the remnants of past struggle woven into its texture. She feels the echo of Ares' presence in the land, subtle but unmistakable. A quiet strengthening, a quiet sharpening, a quiet pulse of courage. Ares does not explain. He never explains. She must observe. She must understand. The night deepens around them. Stars emerge like scattered truths across a dark canvas. Ares walks with the calm of one who has nothing to hide. Athena walks with the calm of one who has everything to learn. Some answers must be earned. Some answers must be felt. Tonight, she will do both. And so their journey begins. They walk across the darkened field, their shadows stretching long and thin beneath the faint glow of the moon. No words disturb the quiet rhythm between them. Ares steps, with the certainty of someone who has walked this path countless times. Athena steps with the precision of someone cataloging every detail, storing each sensation for the meaning hidden beneath it. Ares does not guide her. He simply moves forward, and she moves beside him. Two lines drawn through the darkness, parallel, inevitable. The night is cool on their armor, brushing softly against metal like a whisper of forgotten prayers. Athena watches how the world bends around Ares without resistance. The wind shifts, the darkness parts, even the earth seems to steady itself beneath his steps. She notes this quietly. Ares is not destruction. Ares is presence. A weight the world acknowledges without being forced to. He pauses at the crest of a small hill. The grass bends around his greaves as if uncertain whether to touch him. Athena stops beside him, her breath even, her heartbeat steady as stone. Below them lies a valley washed in pale moonlight. No bodies, no weapons. Only the faint remnants of fear lingering like dew on the earth. Ares looks down, silent. Athena studies his face. His eyes are not violent, not fierce, not burning with frenzy as the poets claim. They are focused, anchored, deep. She follows his gaze and sees nothing but emptiness. Yet she understands. He is not looking at what is there. He is looking at what once was. "Do you see it?" he asks softly, without turning. Athena's mind sharpens instantly. "Not yet," she answers. Ares nods once, a small gesture, almost imperceptible, as if acknowledging the honesty in her reply. He lifts his hand slightly, fingers loose, as though feeling the air. Athena watches the motion carefully. Every movement from Ares is intention-shaped into simplicity. He points to the valley. "This was fear," Ares says. His voice is low, almost gentle. Athena listens, absorbing his meaning before she speaks. "Fear alone?" Ares shakes his head. "Fear first, then courage." Athena closes her eyes. She lets the night breathe around her, lets the wind press against her ears. Slowly, faintly, she feels it. a vibration beneath the soil, a memory still echoing in the roots of the earth. Footsteps that hesitated, then moved forward. Hands that trembled, then steadied. Voices that cracked, then strengthened. She opens her eyes. She understands. Ares is not recalling a battle. He is recalling the moment before the battle, the threshold where mortals decide who they will be. She studies him again. "You were here," she says softly. "I was everywhere," Ares murmurs. Courage is not a place. He begins walking again, and Athena follows. Their steps are soft, but the world listens. The moon slips behind a cloud, dimming the valley into deeper shadow. Athena feels the shift instantly. The absence of light sharpens her focus. Ares walks comfortably in the dimness. He does not strain his gaze. He does not hesitate. He walks as though shadow is his native terrain. Athena keeps pace. She senses something in the darkness, faint as a breath. "Do you hear that?" she asks quietly. Ares does not stop. He answers with a simple tilt of his head. "Yes." "What is it?" A pause, a soft exhale. "The sound of what they feared," Ares says. Athena narrows her eyes, adjusting her senses. At first she hears nothing but the wind brushing through the grass. Then something else. Not cries, not swords, not violence. A pulse, a kind of trembling echo trapped in the memory of the land. The memory of hearts beating too fast. The memory of breath tightening in mortal chests. The memory of choices. Athena feels it like a ripple against her mind. "Mortal fear," she whispers. Ares nods again. "The beginning of every war," he says softly. "The moment of truth." Athena walks in silence, absorbing everything, letting the night teach her. She looks at her brother's silhouette, outlined by faint starlight, and feels the weight of a knowledge she never allowed herself to consider. Ares does not guide war. Ares guides the heart before war. Courage is his domain, not slaughter. The world has misunderstood him. Olympus has misunderstood him. She has misunderstood him. Still, she does not speak these conclusions aloud. She processes them in silence, letting the truth settle like dust on ancient stone. They walk deeper into the valley. The wind slows, heavy as breath held too long. The darkness feels thicker, almost tactile, clinging to them like memory. Ares stops beneath a lone leafless tree. Its branches twist toward the sky like fingers reaching for something they lost. Athena senses the significance before she asks, "Why here?" Ares touches the trunk lightly, almost reverently. "Because this," he whispers, "is where they broke." Athena looks at the ground. It appears undisturbed, calm, peaceful, but she knows appearances mean nothing in places where gods have stood. She kneels and places her fingers on the earth. A slow wave unfolds beneath her touch. Not sound, not vision, emotion, raw, heavy, human. She inhales sharply. Ares watches her. "This is the moment," Athena murmurs, eyes unfocused. "The moment they almost ran." Ares nods, but didn't. A long silence stretches between them. Not empty, full. Athena stands slowly, brushing soil from her fingers. Ares steps back from the tree, giving her space. She circles the tree once, her mind scanning every particle of sensation. Fear, courage, resolve, regret, hope, failure, victory, all layered together like rings in the bark. When she returns to Ares, she meets his eyes. "I see," she whispers. Ares holds her gaze without blinking. "What do you see?" Athena breathes out, long and steady. "You." For the first time tonight, Ares blinks. Not in surprise, in acknowledgement. Athena's voice remains soft, but her words sharpen like glass. Not as destruction, she says quietly, but as decision. Ares' jaw shifts slightly. A flicker of something like respect moves through his eyes. Athena lowers her gaze for a moment, thinking, processing, rearranging everything she has ever believed. Then she looks up again. "You are the moment before," she says. Ares does not smile, but the air around him changes, softer, warmer, almost approving. They stand in silence again, the night pressing gently against them. Athena feels the shape of truth growing heavier in her chest, a truth she is only beginning to understand. She glances toward the horizon. "We are not finished," she says calmly. Ares turns, beginning to walk. "No," he murmurs, "we are not." And once again, she follows. Beside him, not behind, not ahead, equal. They move deeper into the valley where the night grows thicker, as though the darkness wishes to be part of their conversation. Athena keeps her pace steady, matching Ares without effort, though she senses the shift in the world around them. The air hums faintly, not with danger, not with magic, with memory, a heavy echo lingering in the soil, in the grass, in the very breath of the land. Ares walks as if he knows every contour of this place, every patch of ground where fear was born, where resolve hardened, where courage rose like flame. Athena studies the movement of his shoulders, relaxed, prepared, completely at ease in a world shaped by conflict and decision. She always imagined him as wildfire, but here, in this slow, shadowed quiet, he is something else entirely. Not destructive, not chaotic, elemental, a principle made flesh. Ares stops beside a half-buried shield glinting faintly beneath moonlight. He touches it gently, almost reverently. Athena watches the gesture, storing it in the quiet chambers of her mind. He turns the shield over without a word. The metal is cracked down the center. Athena kneels and examines it. No scorch marks, no divine imprint. A simple break, human. She looks up. Ares meets her gaze. "A moment," he murmurs. Athena nods slowly. "A choice," she adds. Ares releases the shield and steps away. Athena rises and continues with him, their footsteps soft against the ground. After several minutes, she speaks in a voice low enough to blend with the wind. "You guide them." Ares does not respond. His silence is not refusal, it is confirmation. He walks a few more steps before answering quietly, "I stand with them." Athena processes this, her eyes narrowing slightly in thought. "Not as a leader," she whispers. Ares shakes his head. "No." She studies the side of his face. "Not as a god?" He breathes out, slow, controlled, as a mirror. Athena falls silent again. This truth settles heavily within her. Mortals seek her mind when they need clarity. They seek Zeus when they need order. They seek Poseidon when desperation churns. But they seek Ares in the moment that decides everything. The moment inside the chest, the moment no strategy can predict. Athena glances at him. "You show them themselves," she murmurs. Rs' eyes reflect faint firelight from the small torch he carries now. No one else can. She absorbs that slowly, deeply. It aligns with everything she has seen tonight, everything she has refused to acknowledge in centuries past, everything she is now willing to confront. They continue walking until the land begins to slope downward. Ares leads without guiding, simply moving through familiar terrain. Athena follows with steps that feel both grounded and deliberate. She feels the world shifting around them, the air cooling, the stars sharpening, the ground humming faintly with old echoes. Ares stops again, this time before a wide, dark expanse where the earth is smooth, almost polished. Athena feels an ache beneath the surface, as though countless feet once stood here. pressing their fear and hope and prayer into the soil until it remembered. Ares motions to the ground with the faintest tilt of his hand. "Here," he whispers. Athena kneels slowly. She places her palm flat against the earth and closes her eyes. The night folds around her like a cloak. At first, she feels nothing but cool soil. But Ares waits patient. He knows what she will find if she listens long enough. Athena slows her breath. In, out, quiet, quieter. Then it comes. A faint tremor, not physical, emotional, a heartbeat. Dozens, hundreds. Fear, hope, determination, regret, resolve. 1,000 mortal lives pressing themselves into a single point on the earth. Athena opens her eyes slowly. Her voice is barely a whisper. "They stood here." "Yes," Ares murmurs, "and you stood with them." Ares does not nod, but something in his posture shifts. Affirmation in silence. Athena rises. Her movements are slow, deliberate, graceful, like a page turning in her mind. She looks at Ares with a new clarity, a new weight, a new understanding. "You carried them," she says softly. "You held their courage when they could not." Ares looks away toward the distant horizon, where the faintest glow of future dawn hints beneath darkness. "I held nothing," he replies. "I reminded them what they already had." Athena absorbs this fully. It changes the shape of him in her mind. It rearranges centuries of assumptions. It challenges her own certainty. She feels no embarrassment in that, only discovery, only truth, only the steady, unshakable weight of understanding that a strategist lives for. She steps closer to him, the glow of the torch catching both their faces in warm, trembling light. "Why do you show me this?" she asks quietly. Ares lifts his head. His eyes meet hers, dark and calm and impossibly deep. "To see," he answers, "not what I am." "What?" Athena presses, her voice firm but soft. Ares' voice falls to a whisper. "What you are not." Athena's breath cools in her chest. Her mind sharpens instantly, slicing through meaning. Not accusation, not insult, not challenge, an observation, a truth he carries without malice. She does not drop her gaze. She holds his eyes, strong and unafraid. "What am I not?" she asks. Ares turns slightly toward her, the firelight outlining the curve of his cheek and the iron of his expression. "Fear," he says. Athena feels the word more than hears it. And so, Ares continues quietly. "You cannot see the courage that grows from it." The wind moves around them in a single long breath, as if the world reacts to his words. Athena stands still, not shaken, not offended, thinking, always thinking. Ares turns away first, resuming his path. He does not check whether she follows. He knows she will. Athena steps after him, her expression unchanged but her mind unfolding like a vast, intricate pattern. She speaks after several long moments. "Then teach me." Ares does not slow. "Teach yourself," he replies. Athena's eyes narrow slightly, a faint spark of curiosity lighting within them. "What must I learn?" Ares' voice drifts back to her, low and quiet. "What fear feels like." The world falls silent again. Athena processes his words as the two gods move deeper into the valley. The night swallowing their figures like ink, spreading across parchment. And though she does not yet know the shape of the lesson, she knows this. Tonight will show her what centuries never have. Tonight she will understand the god she once believed she knew. Tonight she walks not as the goddess of strategy, but as a mind opening itself to a truth carried in silence. She follows Ares across the darkened fields. The night follows them both, and the journey continues. The valley narrows as they walk. funneling them between two long ridges of stone that rise like silent witnesses on either side. The air cools further, settling on their armor like a thin layer of frost. The moon fades behind drifting clouds, dimming the world until only the faint glow of Ares' torch remains. Athena senses the shift instantly. Ares is guiding her somewhere deeper, somewhere more intimate, somewhere where the silence carries weight instead of emptiness. She steps carefully, not because she fears stumbling, but because she is reading the terrain the way she reads a text, one line at a time, each detail a clue to the larger truth. Ares walks ahead, his silhouette cut into sharp, calm lines by the flickering light. He does not look back. He does not need to. He knows she is there. He knows she will follow. Athena studies the slope of his shoulders. There is no tension in them, no anticipation of conflict. Tonight, he carries a different kind of gravity, one she has rarely seen. Not fury, not defiance, not pride, stillness. They reach a small clearing carved between the stones, a place the wind does not touch, a pocket of quiet sealed by the earth itself. The moment Athena steps into it, she feels something unusual brush against her senses. It is not the memory of war. It is not the echo of fear. It is something older, something deeper, something closer to the heart of things. Ares extinguishes the torch by pressing it gently to the ground. The darkness folds around them instantly, thick and soft, like velvet draped over their eyes. Most gods would summon light. Athena does not. Ares does not. They stand together in the dark, and the night begins to breathe between them. For several long moments, neither speaks. The silence becomes dense, gathering with purpose, becoming the third presence beside them. Athena closes her eyes. Her other senses sharpen. The faint shift of Ares' weight, the whisper of distant wind trapped beyond the stone walls, the subtle vibration within the earth, as though something ancient stirs beneath it. She inhales slowly. "What is this place?" she asks. Her voice is controlled, quiet, steady. "Not a battlefield," Ares replies. His tone is low, but there is a softness beneath it she does not expect. "A beginning place." Athena turns her head slightly toward him in the dark. "A beginning of what?" Ares' answer comes after a long breath. "Understanding." The word settles into her like a stone dropped into deep water, sending out ripples she will examine later. For now, she only listens. Ares begins to walk again, but slower this time, measured, each step purposeful. Athena follows quietly. As they move deeper into the clearing, she feels the air change again. Not colder, not warmer, heavier, fuller, as if everything she has ever known about war and fear and courage is gathering around her, waiting for her to reach the center of this place. Ares stops. The space around them shifts, dense with an unspoken truth. Athena straightens, her mind sharpened into a blade of focus. Ares' voice is barely more than breath when it comes. "You asked to learn fear." Athena remains still. "Yes, then feel," Ares says quietly. No command, no force, not even encouragement, just truth. Athena stands in the darkness and lets her senses spread outward like roots in quiet soil. For a long while, she feels nothing unusual. She is a goddess born from clarity. Fear does not cling to her, does not reach her, does not take shape in her mind. She waits, she listens, she breathes. Then the ground beneath her hums, a thin vibration, barely perceptible, like the tremor of a distant heartbeat. Athena focuses. The tremor grows. Another heartbeat, then another. Countless heartbeats. Not hers, not Ares. Mortal heartbeats, woven into the earth like threads of memory. The ground remembers. Athena feels their quickened rhythm, their hesitation, their terror balanced on the edge of choice. The sensation grows. wrapping around her like cold smoke. Her breath slows. For the first time in centuries, she feels something foreign slip beneath her ribs. Not fear, the shadow of fear, its outline, its shape, the suggestion of what mortals experience before courage hardens their resolve. She opens her eyes, even though the darkness hides everything. Ares, she murmurs. He is near, close enough for her to sense the warmth of his presence. Is this their fear? No, he whispers. This is the space where fear is born. Athena listens closely, passing every syllable for meaning. Ares continues, voice soft as distant thunder. Mortals think fear is weakness. It is not. Athena's breath stills. Ares steps past her, moving like a shadow given purpose. Fear is the moment before action, he continues. The moment the world tests them. Athena closes her eyes again, letting the darkness press against her mind. She feels the hesitation of countless mortals, the trembling of their hands, the tightening of their throats, the weight of their choices. She feels all of it. And slowly, very slowly, she feels something else. A pressure, a warmth, a force rising through the fear like a star pushing against the horizon. Courage, born here, shaped here, lit here. Her eyes open in the dark. Ares, she breathes, voice steadier than she expected. This is your domain. Ares stands a few steps away, barely a silhouette against the absence of light. Yes, you don't create war. No, you create courage. I reveal it. Athena absorbs this truth. It rearranges ancient pieces of her understanding. It reshapes the image of her brother she has carried for millennia. She turns slowly to face him. And what do you reveal to me? Ares' head tilts in her direction, the faintest trace of warmth in his presence. Your blindness, he murmurs. Not cruel, not mocking, just accurate. Athena feels no sting from his words, only clarity. I do not feel fear, she says quietly. Ares takes one slow step toward her. And so you have never understood courage. The darkness shifts around them again, as if leaning closer to hear. Athena lets the truth settle into her. She has always known courage in theory, in strategy, in outcome, but never in sensation, never in its birth, never in the trembling moment that makes mortals heroes. She inhales deeply, letting the night fill her lungs. What would I be, she whispers, if I understood fear? Ares' answer is immediate. Whole. Athena stands very still. Her heartbeat is steady, but something new stirs beneath it. Not fear, not yet, but space. Space where fear could enter, where understanding could grow, where courage could form. She opens her eyes into the dark. Show me, she says. Ares does not move. He simply speaks the next truth. Fear cannot be shown. Athena's gaze stays fixed on him. Then what must I do? Ares' voice deepens into a whisper that seems older than Olympus itself. Stand in it. The darkness tightens around them like a slowly closing fist. Athena does not flinch. She centers herself, breath steady, mind open. And Ares, silent as nightfall, prepares to reveal the one thing Athena has never known. The darkness around them deepens until it feels almost physical, like a curtain drawn slowly across the senses. Athena stands perfectly still at the center of it, her posture composed, her breath quiet and measured. Ares moves only enough to let the space between them settle into its true shape. She feels him near, warm, steady, and heavy with a truth she has never touched. Not fear, but the doorway to it. She waits. Ares does not approach. He does not touch her mind. He does not impose anything upon her, because fear cannot be given. It can only be allowed. He speaks in a voice low and quiet, like the rumble beneath earth before a fault line shifts. Close your eyes, Athena does. The darkness remains unchanged, but closing her eyes feels like surrendering her last point of control. It is a deliberate act, a chosen vulnerability, a quiet beginning. Ares takes a single step backward, widening the space between them. Athena senses it instantly, a subtle emptiness, a gap in the world's structure. She breathes in slowly, letting that emptiness expand inside her. Ares speaks again, each word placed with careful intention. Let go of what you know. Athena's jaw tightens slightly. Letting go is not easy for her. Her mind is built upon clarity, order, structure, anticipation, analysis. She has mastered detaching from emotion. She has mastered reading chaos. But she has never mastered releasing reason. Still, she tries. She lets her thoughts loosen. She lets her awareness spread. And in that widening space, something begins to move. A quiet trembling at the edge of her consciousness, like a distant storm seen not with eyes, but with instinct. Like a ripple widening in a lake before the stone is visible. She inhales again, slow, steady. The trembling grows. Ares' voice is softer now. Do not reach for it. Athena steadies herself. She does not pursue the trembling. She lets it come. Her heart remains even, but her mind senses a shift she cannot categorize. A thinning of certainty. A soft unraveling of control. It is not fear. It is the shadow of fear entering her like a tide creeping toward high water. Her voice is quiet when she speaks. Ares. He remains still behind her. Yes. What is this feeling? Truth, he answers. Her breath shivers not from fear, but from recognition, because the sensation growing inside her has no logic, no strategy, no pattern to map. It is raw, unfiltered, pre-verbal, the kind of sensation mortals feel before they know the right word. Uncertainty, possibility, vulnerability. Athena exhales slowly. The trembling expands through her chest, subtle but undeniable. She stands straight, unbowed, unbroken, but no longer untouched. Ares speaks again. A fear that cannot be felt cannot be understood, and a courage that cannot be understood cannot be respected. Athena opens her eyes. The darkness remains absolute. For a moment, she feels small, not powerless, not diminished, simply aware that power is not the only truth in existence. Choice is. The choice to stand, the choice to face, the choice to move forward when moving forward seems impossible. She whispers, "Is this how mortals live?" Ares steps forward just enough for his presence to warm the air again. "Yes, and yet they act," she murmurs. "They do." She turns slightly toward where she knows he stands. "And you walk with them." Ares nods in the dark. "When they cannot stand alone, I stand near. When they doubt, I remind them. When they tremble, I wait with them. And when they rise," he pauses. His voice lowers. "They rise because of themselves." Athena lets the truth settle into her bones. Courage is not born from clarity, not from intellect, not from wisdom. Courage is born from fear. Fear is the forge. Courage is the blade. And Ares is not the fire. He is the hand that places fear into the forge, so courage can emerge, sharpened. She closes her eyes once more, intentionally this time. Her breath softens, the trembling lingers, but she does not resist it. She acknowledges it, not as weakness, as beginning. She whispers quietly, "I feel it." Ares' voice comes from just behind her shoulder, soft as a shadow. Good. She stands with it longer than she expected. Not fighting, not fleeing, allowing, understanding. And slowly, the trembling shifts. It does not fade. It evolves. It condenses, becomes weight, becomes warmth, becomes strength. Her eyes open, calm as a still lake. Ares watches her. Her gaze meets his. There is no fear in it. Not because she cannot feel fear, but because she has let fear become truth instead of enemy. Ares studies her silently. Then he speaks. Now you know. Athena nods once, a slow, deliberate gesture. Yes, she answers, but only the edge of it. Ares tilts his head. You have felt enough. Athena inhales deeply, the air cool and familiar again. The trembling within her settles into clarity. New clarity. A clarity she could never reach through thought alone. She raises her chin, meeting Ace gaze head-on. You do not lead mortals into war, she says. You lead them into themselves. Ares says nothing. But the faint shift in his stance is confirmation. Athena steps closer. The darkness thins between them. I misjudged you, she says. The words are simple, unadorned, precise. Ares answers with a single calm breath. I know. Another silence grows. Not the earlier silence of anticipation, a different one. A silence shaped by mutual recognition, understanding, respect. Athena's voice softens, but her strength remains unmistakable. You are not what Olympus believes. Ares' reply is almost a sigh. I never was, and yet you carry their fear. No, Ares says quietly. I carry their courage. Athena closes her eyes, accepting the truth with the discipline of a mind born for comprehension. When she opens them again, the darkness around them begins to recede. Moonlight slips through the clouds above, washing the clearing in pale silver. The world returns. The fear subsides, but the understanding does not. Ares watches her with the steady gaze of someone who knows he has given her a gift she will not forget. Athena lifts her chin slightly. We are not finished, she says. Ares nods. We never were. He turns away, walking back toward the edge of the clearing. Athena follows, beside him, not behind, not ahead, equal. As they step into the open night, the valley breathes again. The wind returns. The stars sharpen above them. The world expands. Athena looks toward the horizon. A new understanding settles into her posture, shaping her movements, sharpening her gaze. She does not fear fear. She understands it. And because of that, she understands Ares. She speaks once more, her voice calm and certain. Show me the rest. Ares glances toward her, the faintest flicker of warmth in his eyes. Then walk. And together they continue into the night, two gods, two truths, two halves of war moving forward as only those who understand one another can. The night grows heavier as Athena walks beside Ares, the air thickening with a weight she cannot yet name. She senses it before he speaks. A shift. A gathering, as though the truth he is about to reveal has been waiting for centuries, circling him like a patient shadow. Ares slows his steps. The ground beneath them flattens into a broad plateau, silent and empty beneath the dark sky. He stops at its center, the wind dying suddenly, leaving them suspended in a quiet too deep to be natural. Athena studies him. His shoulders are still, his breath measured, but something in his posture is different, not defensive, not proud, not unyielding. Exposed, as if he has walked her here to remove the armor he does not wear. Ares looks out across the plain, seeing things she cannot see, echoes, memories, consequences. Then, in a voice low enough to blend with the night, he says, "There is something Olympus believes about me." He pauses. They are wrong. Athena says nothing. She knows better than to interrupt. She can feel the confession forming like a storm held behind sealed gates. Ares continues, his voice steady but weighted. They think I kill because I hunger for it, because I am wrath. Because I am the part of Zeus no one else wants to claim. He breathes out slowly. But that is not the truth. Athena holds her silence, letting his words gather shape. Ares lowers his gaze to his hands, as though seeing the memory of blood that is no longer there. When I killed the son of Poseidon, he says, the world believed I did it for vengeance. Athena's posture sharpens. This is the heart of the secret. Ares continues, voice calm, almost gentle, like the moment before a blade touches the surface. They think I struck in rage. He lifts his eyes. They are dark, deep, steady. I did not. Silence folds between them, dense as the earth beneath their feet. Ares turns fully to her now. I killed him because he broke something sacred. He does not raise his voice. He does not harden it. He speaks like someone placing a stone upon an altar. He harmed my daughter, and for that, I would have torn apart the sea itself if needed. Athena does not look away, but Ares sees it, the faint shift in her breath, the quiet acknowledgement of truth revealed. She had known the myth, but not the heart inside it. He continues, when Zeus put me on trial, Olympus thought it was judgment. Ares shakes his head slowly. It was not. Athena waits. Ares steps away from her, pacing once, twice, as though the truth inside him must be spoken with movement. Zeus used me. Athena does not react outwardly, but inwardly she feels a subtle click pieces aligning. Poseidon needed to be warned, Ares says. He needed to be reminded that even his blood is not beyond consequence. He looks back at her, expression calm but unguarded. I was not the one on trial. Poseidon was. The wind shifts as though the world itself reacts to the words. And Zeus knew, Ares says softly, that I would not hesitate. Athena's eyes narrow, not in suspicion, but in realization. You were chosen, she murmurs. Ares nods once. I am always chosen when the choice is unbearable. His voice drops further. When Zeus cannot do what must be done, he sends me. Athena studies him carefully, the set of his jaw, the quiet exhaustion hidden beneath iron composure. You do his will, she says. Ares' gaze hardens, but not with anger. With truth, I do the will no one else can carry. He looks away again, toward a distant horizon unseen in the darkness. Zeus appoints laws. I enforce consequences. Athena absorbs this. It paints Zeus in a darker shade. It paints Ares in a clearer one. Zeus trusts you, she says. Ares lets out a breath that sounds almost like a bitter laugh, though too soft to be called laughter. Zeus trusts nothing, not truly. He turns to her again, but he understands me. Athena steps closer, her presence steady. And do you understand him? Ares' answer is immediate. Yes. A long silence stretches between them, broken only by the breath of the night. Then Ares speaks again, voice deepening into something more solemn. You spoke earlier of Hades, of death, of what waits beyond courage. Athena's eyes narrow, focusing. Ares continues, do you know what war truly makes? He does not wait for her reply. Not bodies. His voice thickens. Souls. The air tightens. The souls of the brave cross into Hades differently than the rest. He steps closer to Athena, his presence a warm shadow against the cold wind. They do not tremble. Athena feels the weight of every word like a stone lowered into deep water. They walk into the underworld with their backs straight, their heads high, their pain behind them, their courage before them. He pauses. War does not destroy them. War defines them. Athena feels the truth settle into her bones. She sees in her mind the echo of every mortal who ever picked up a blade with shaking hands and stepped forward anyway. Ares speaks again, softer now. Hades receives them not as victims, but as witnesses of their own strength. Athena's breath catches not from shock, but from understanding. You shape the dead, she whispers. No, Ares replies. I shape the living. Hades receives what I reveal. Silence again, heavy, sacred. Ares turns away, walking a few steps before stopping. His back to her, he speaks the quiet truth that no myth ever recorded. I do not bring souls to Hades, I prepare them. Athena's heart tightens, not from emotion, but from revelation. This is Rs' secret truth. Not destruction, not carnage, not wrath, guidance, transformation. A sacred duty cloaked in blood because the world has no other language for it. Ares breathes in deeply. You asked why I act, why I stand in places that terrify others, why I do what the rest of Olympus refuses to. He turns to her now, eyes blazing not with rage, but with clarity. Because someone must carry the weight of fear so others may find the weight of courage. The confession leaves the air trembling. Athena stands still, her own breath deepens. She now sees the shape of her brother not as Olympus shaped him, but as he shaped himself. Ares looks at her one last time before the silence takes them again. There is more, he whispers. Much more. Athena nods slowly. I will hear it. Ares turns toward the deeper darkness beyond the plateau, then walk. Athena steps forward beside him, the ground steady beneath her. The night follows, and the truth of Ares continues to unfold. The night seems to close behind them as they leave the plateau, sealing the confession in darkness as if the world itself recognizes the weight of what has been spoken. Athena walks beside Ares, each step measured, each breath deliberate, as though moving through a boundary between what she believed and what she now begins to understand. Ares does not rush. He walks with the slow certainty of someone who knows exactly where the next truth lies waiting. The air grows colder, sharper, carrying with it the faint, metallic scent of distant memory, iron, sweat, vows whispered in desperation. Athena senses the shift. Ares is leading her toward a place where the boundaries between past and present blur. He stops at the edge of a shallow ravine. The earth is uneven here, dark and cracked, as though struck long ago by a force too heavy for time to mend. Athena kneels, touching the broken ground. A tremor runs beneath her fingertips, a resonance. She looks up at Ares. This place remembers you. Ares exhales slowly. It remembers what I did. Athena rises. And what was that? Ares turns his gaze toward the ravine, his expression unreadable. I broke a god. The words land between them like a stone dropped into a well with no bottom. Athena's voice remains steady. Poseidon's son. Ares nods once. The night thickens. He harmed what was mine to protect, and the sea god believed his blood placed him beyond consequence. Athena listens carefully, her mind unspooling possibilities and implications, each one darker than the last. Ares continues, voice quiet, controlled. When I struck him down, the earth shook, the sea recoiled. Even Olympus felt the tremor. He lifts his hand, palm open, as if holding the memory of the act. It was not fury, not frenzy, it was precision. Athena recognizes the significance immediately. Ares is not confessing violence, he is confessing restraint. Then Zeus intervened. Ares lets his hand drop to his side. Yes. Athena studies his posture, the angle of his shoulders, the tension barely hidden beneath composure. You were not surprised. No, Ares says. I was chosen for this outcome long before I acted. Athena's eyes sharpen. You knew Zeus would use the moment. Ares meets her gaze. I counted on it. The honesty is so stark that Athena inhales softly. Ares turns back toward the ravine. Zeus needed a message to reach Poseidon, not through diplomacy, not through threat, through demonstration. Athena steps closer, her mind weaving through the layers of implication. And you delivered it. Yes. His voice deepens with quiet resolve. I gave the sea god something he could not ignore. Proof that bloodline does not place one above justice. The wind moves faintly through the ravine, stirring dust like ghostly whispers. Athena considers the truth. In all the myths, Ares is painted as a brute striking blindly, but here, in the quiet confession of the night, the truth is entirely different. A calculated act, she murmurs. Ares nods. Calculated, necessary, precise. He glances toward her, and Zeus knew it. Athena feels the shift of the world around them as the pieces align. Zeus, silence. Poseidon's shock. Olympus, unease. The entire pantheon misinterpreting the trial. You allowed yourself to be judged, Athena says softly. I demanded it, Ares replies. Athena's breath stills. You demanded trial? Ares nods. Zeus needed the spectacle. Poseidon needed humiliation, and Olympus needed clarity. Athena processes this revelation with the controlled calm of a master tactician. You made yourself the stage. Ares' voice lowers. I made myself the lesson. The night hums faintly in response. Athena steps closer, her eyes steady. And the verdict? Ares turns to her fully now, the full gravity of his truth settling in the air. Zeus acquitted me because he had to. Because the truth was on my side. Because my act was righteous. But more than that, he acquitted me to show Poseidon the cost of crossing a boundary set by justice, not blood. Athena feels the weight of this. Zeus used the law to strike the sea god without lifting a hand. Ares nods once, and I was the hand he did not lift. A long silence stretches. Athena breaks it with a question more intimate than any before. Does it burden you? Ares does not answer immediately. He looks out across the ravine, the jagged earth reflecting the fractures of an ancient action. All truths burden me, he says quietly. But this one shaped Olympus. Athena hears what he does not say. This truth shaped him. Ares walks a few paces forward, stopping at the edge where the earth dips sharply downward. Mortals believe the trial shamed me, he murmurs. Olympus believes it restrained me. He lifts his gaze to the stars. But the truth is simpler. It freed me. Athena steps to his side. Freed you from what? Ares turns to her with eyes that seem to reflect entire ages of war and courage. From the illusion that Olympus understands justice, his voice drops to a whisper. They understand fear. They understand politics. But justice? He shakes his head. That I must teach them. Athena absorbs this in silence. In the distance, the sky shifts as clouds drift across the moon, casting long, pale shadows across the ravine. Ares watches the movement of the night as if seeing something far beyond mortal perception. Then he speaks again, voice low and resonant. The son of Poseidon died by my hand. His soul went to Hades heavy with shame. But Hades received him with mercy. Athena's brows tighten. Why mercy? Ares closes his eyes briefly. Because I told Hades the truth before the trial even began. Athena inhales sharply. You went to the underworld? Ares nods. To ensure that the boy's soul would not be punished for his father's arrogance. Athena watches him with new depth. You showed compassion. No. Ares answers softly. I showed balance. The night deepens. Stars pulse above them like distant heartbeats. Athena steps closer, speaking in a voice as calm as still water. You said there was more. Ares turns toward the farthest shadow of the ravine. There is. He begins to walk. Athena follows. And the deeper secret truth of Ares waits in the silence ahead. They step deeper into the ravine where the air tastes of old promises and iron. and the world seems to listen as a single organism. Athena follows Ares without haste, each footfall measured like a metrical line in a long, somber poem. He moves with the certainty of someone who has rehearsed this confession for years in the quiet of his own chest. The night breathes around them, slow and vast, as if the gods themselves lean in to hear what the war god will admit. Ares leads her toward a low stone altar half buried in the cracked earth, its surface scarred by the passage of countless hands. He pauses before it and touches the weathered rock with the gentleness of a man setting down a burden. Athena watches him study the grain of the stone as though it contains the memory of every choice he has forced upon the world. "You speak of Poseidon's son as though it were a simple deed," she says softly, her voice precise and restrained. Ares does not look at her when he answers. "It was simple in action," he replies, "because the necessity was pure." He inhales, and the night tightens into a listening hush. "But simple acts often contain the most complicated truths," he continues, voice low and careful. Athena draws a slow breath, prepared to parse each syllable like a piece of strategy. "Ares," she says quietly, "tell me why mercy found that son in Hades when the living could not grant it." His gaze lifts to the distant stars, as if seeking permission from the cold light above. "Because I spoke for him," Ares says plainly. "I went to Hades before the trial, not to bargain, but to arrange a passage." Athena's eyes narrow, not with suspicion, but with focused curiosity. "You spoke to Hades?" she repeats. "I did," Ares affirms. "And his judgment?" she asks. "He received the boy into the realm of the dead, and did not condemn him for blood he did not earn." Ares' voice grows softer, carrying the weight of experience that has no need for triumph. "Hades knows the measure of courage and the measure of guilt," he murmurs. Athena thinks of Hades as stone and stillness, as inevitable as winter. To imagine the underworld as a place that measures the heart differently than the living do is a disturbance to her assumptions. "Is that why you confronted Poseidon?" she asks. Ares turns toward the river of memory that runs between accusation and consequence. "I confronted his lineage because arrogance is a contagion," he explains. "When a god believes blood absolves him from accountability, the world rots." Athena's mind assembles the implications like a lattice of steel. "You removed the cancer," she offers, neutral and unromantic. "It was not removal," Ares corrects, not sharply. "It was correction." He traces the edge of the altar with a calloused finger, as if feeling the echo of the boy's last breath. "I struck because the boundary had been breached, because a child was taken, and a law of decency broken." Athena lets that settle. Her strategist's mind acknowledges the logic, even while her philosopher's heart catalogues the cost. "Then the trial," she says, "was not merely spectacle." Ares meets her gaze, and for the first time a faint exhaustion shadows his features. "It was spectacle, yes, but theater with purpose." "And the purpose?" Athena presses softly. "To remind Olympus that power without consequence is tyranny," Ares replies. He does not shout. The confession is not meant to perform. It is meant to unburden. Athena keeps her voice low, almost reverent. "You became the instrument of that reminder." Ares accepts this quietly. "I was the instrument and the lesson," he says simply. He looks up at the unmoving sky as though asking the stars to witness the truth. "You must understand something else," he adds, the words deliberate and held like a blade in waiting. "What is that?" Athena asks. "War scours the shallow and polishes the deep," Ares says. "Those who survive are not merely cleansed of life, they are tested and shaped." Athena ponders the metaphor. In her mind it becomes a tool as keen as any spear. "You claim war makes souls," she says, not as accusation but as a solicitation of explanation. Ares nods, the nod slow and heavy with conviction. "When a mortal faces the brink, Something essential is revealed, he explains. Fear pulls at them like tide. Courage answers like stone. He lets the image sit between them, stark and cold. These souls march to Hades with the weight of their choices like armor, he continues. They enter the underworld not hollowed by death but filled with a different kind of being, souls tempered by resolve. Athena listens as though hearing an account of metallurgy. To her, the forging of courage is a process that can be mapped and predicted. To Ares, it is an intimate interior act that he shepherds. You say Hades receives them differently, she murmurs. He holds them differently, Ares corrects. Hades recognizes the shape of a life that met its own terror and then did not flinch. Athena pictures the pale halls and river-lit thresholds of the underworld and imagines them populated by those faces, not haunted but composed. And this, she says slowly, is the weight your actions place upon the living. Ares' jaw tightens. There is no apology in him, but there is an acceptance of consequence. Yes, he admits, I place a weight upon the living because the living must be measured. Athena hears the echo of Zeus' calculus in the admission order at the cost of discomfort, but Ares' tone carries a deeper, lonelier note. Do you ever regret the methods? She asks. The strategist finally allowing an ethical fracture to enter the analysis. Ares' silence answers before he speaks. He breathes, steady and slow, and when he replies, it is as if the words have been selected from among many that would have been softest. Regret is for those who could have chosen otherwise, he says. I have no regret for what I must do, only sorrow at what it leaves behind. Athena's face, carved of logic and restraint, shows a shadow of sympathy that she allows herself like a rare truce. You do not act out of love for violence, she says. Then why do you not simply refuse this role the king assigns? She asks bluntly. Ares turns his head to the trial's memory with a small, bitter curve to his lips. If I refused, someone less able, less clear, would do it, he says. Someone whose hand would hunger, or whose choice would be cruel in ignorance. He meets her eyes with a firmness that dispels any romantic notion of vengeance. I accept because I can hold the balance. Athena nods, the motion almost imperceptible. You hold it, then, as both tool and guard, she observes. Yes, Ares replies. And in doing so, Athena says, letting the practical mind fold into the moral. You keep a certain order in Olympus that words cannot maintain. Ares allows a brief, nearly smiling exhalation. Order kept by the hand that will use force without hesitation is understood differently than order kept by chatter. They stand together above the ravine as a wind lifts dry leaves into a small, aimless dance. Athena keeps watching him, searching the contours of his confession for any hint of performance. She finds none. Only the naked truth of a god who has built his life on carrying unbearable things. Ares breaks the quiet then, speaking in a voice both small and enormous. There is one more thing you must know, he says. Athena finds herself leaning closer, though she had resolved to listen without intrusion. What is it? She asks. He draws the word out, like a long, taut wire. It is not only their courage that I prepare for Hades, he says. It is their memory. Athena's brow furrows. He continues before she can form the question. When a soul arrives, its memory can be a shackle or a crown, Ares explains. If their deeds in life were hollow, their memory binds them to regret. If their deeds were chosen, their memory becomes proof they existed, proof they were brave. Athena imagines the underworld filled with living archives, some bright with meaning, others shadowed with the wasted glories of cowardice. You make sure they carry the right memory, she says quietly. Yes, Ares confirms. I do not cleanse them of pain. I carve the truth from their fear so that what follows is a memory that honors what was faced. Athena considers this like one might consider a difficult theorem. each line a necessary step toward comprehension. And Hades accepts that memory, she murmurs. He does, Ares says simply. Athena breathes out, long and low. The stars wheel overhead, indifferent and ancient. She senses the enormity of what has been revealed. A god whose violence is a sacrament, whose killings are a language, whose hand shapes the souls the world depends upon to remember courage rather than shame. And Poseidon? She asks finally, returning to the river of politics that undercuts every action in Olympus. He was taught, Ares replies. Not because he loved the lesson, but because the proof could not be ignored. Athena looks at him, and for the first time in their long relationship, she sees not an enemy, not a rival, but a necessary instrument of fate. The confession settles like dust on the altar between them, and for a moment neither god speaks, allowing the silence to mark the place where truth has been spoken. Ares leaves the ravine behind as though stepping out of a wound carved into the earth, and Athena follows him into a stretch of open ground where the night gathers like a great curtain. Here the darkness feels fuller, denser, as though it carries the weight of stories buried too deep for mortal tongues. Ares walks slowly, neither preparing nor hesitating, but simply accepting that what he is about to say can only be spoken in a place that has learned to hold silence. Athena's gaze sharpens. The confession is not over, not even close. Ares stops beneath a low, ancient outcrop of stone. Its surface is smooth from centuries of wind, yet etched with scars the world has forgotten how to read. He touches one of those scars lightly, tracing its jagged line with the tip of his finger. This, Ares says softly, is where the truth grew sharp. Athena steps beside him, her attention absolute. A truth about Poseidon? She asks. Ares shakes his head. A truth about Olympus. The air tightens. Athena waits. She has learned, tonight more than ever, that Ares' silences are not empty, they are bridges. Finally, Ares speaks. When I killed the sea god's son, Olympus believed it was rage, he murmurs. When Zeus acquitted me, Olympus believed it was allegiance. He turns his gaze toward the distant peaks of the mountain, as if addressing the throne itself. They were wrong on both counts. Athena's eyes narrow with curiosity sharpened to a blade. Then what was the truth? Ares lets out a quiet breath. The truth is that my power does not come from Zeus. The wind freezes mid-motion. Athena feels the world still, not in fear, in recognition. Ares continues. My power does not come from Olympus. He lowers his hand from the stone, the gesture almost reverent. It comes from men. The words fall like sparks into dried grass, small, quiet, devastating. Athena feels the weight of the statement settle into the air. You mean worship, she says carefully. Ares' head tilts. No, their belief? No, their fear, she suggests. Ares closes his eyes. No, Athena. He turns toward her, eyes steady, dark, and honest. My power comes from their courage. Athena's breath steadies, deep and slow. She understands the magnitude immediately. Explain, she says. Ares steps forward, the earth vibrating faintly beneath his stance. When mortal fear rises, he says quietly, it is nothing. When fear overwhelms them, it weakens them. He moves his hand as though shaping something fragile. But when fear is mastered, when it becomes courage, the transformation feeds me. Athena listens, absorbing every word as though engraving them into bronze. Ares presses his palm to his chest. That moment when a mortal refuses to flee, that is where my strength is forged. Athena thinks of the earlier valley, of the trembling hearts she felt in the earth. She sees now what she did not then. That is why you walk among them, she murmurs. Ares nods. I walk not to watch them die. I walk to witness them rise. A silence thickens between them, the kind reserved for truths that change the shape of gods. Ares continues, each sentence carved like stone. Zeus commands storms, Poseidon commands seas, Hades commands the dead, but he gestures outward to the world shrouded in night. I command what mortals make inside themselves. Athena inhales sharply. You are the only god whose power begins in mortal hearts. Ares answers with a single calm breath. Yes. He looks upward. And that is why Zeus will never chain me. The pieces align in Athena's mind like a constellation snapping into place. You are beyond him, she says slowly. No, Ares corrects gently. I am beneath nothing. Athena studies him, absorbing the dangerous simplicity of the truth. It is why he uses you carefully, she says. It is why he confides in you only through action. Ares does not deny it. He kneels beside another scar in the stone, running his fingers over it. This place remembers when I first realized it. Athena kneels beside him without hesitation. What happened here? Ares closes his eyes, letting the memory wash over him. A mortal stood here once, he whispers. A boy, barely strong enough to lift his father's shield. Athena listens intently. He had no training, Ares continues. No guidance, no chance. He opens his eyes. But he refused to flee. Ares' voice softens into something Athena has never heard from him, a quiet awe. In that moment, when he chose to stand, I felt it. He touches the stone again. A spark inside him. A spark that grew into something far larger than he was. Athena closes her eyes. And you connected to it, she says. Yes, that is your source, she murmurs. Not bloodshed, not death, but the refining of fear. Ares nods, the motion solemn. That is why war must exist, he says. Not for destruction, but for the courage it forces to the surface. Athena remains still. Ares continues. The brave who die walk into Hades with a soul illuminated. The cowards walk with shadows around them. He lowers his hand from the stone, and Hades sees the difference. Athena remembers the underworld, the quiet weight, the thick silence, and imagines souls shining faintly as they enter its halls. So war, she says slowly, is not the taking of life. Ares finishes the thought. It is the shaping of soul. Athena draws a long breath. This truth shifts the world itself. She looks at Ares with new eyes. You are not god of violence. No, you are god of transformation. Ares exhales, something like relief escaping his chest. Finally, he murmurs. You see, Athena rises to her feet. The night deepens around them. Ares stands beside her, no longer withholding. There is more yet to reveal. Athena can sense it, something heavier, older, more dangerous than everything he has confessed so far. She turns toward him. Tell me the rest. Ares looks into the darkness stretching beyond the stone. There is one final truth, he says. The truth Olympus fears most. Athena steadies herself. I am ready. Ares nods, the motion solemn and slow. Then walk, he whispers, and together they step into the darkest part of the night, toward the final secret. They step into the darkest fold of the night, as if entering the throat of the world itself. Athena stays close, every sense poised, every thought a sharpened instrument ready to cut through the last veils. Ares moves with an ease, born of long acquaintance with the impossible. His feet make no sound on the dry earth. He stops beneath an ancient tree stripped of leaves, its silhouette like a blackened sentinel against the sky. The air here tastes of salt and old iron, as if sea and blood have bled into the soil and never left. Ares looks at Athena with an expression that is neither pleading nor proud, only resolved. There is a truth older than the trial, he says quietly, the words shaped like keys. Athena inclines her head, the only motion she allows, an invitation to continue. You asked why Zeus let the trial be theater, Ares continues, voice even but raw at the edges. He did not need to clear his hands of the boy's blood. He needed the world to see consequence embodied. Athena hears the calculus within the confession and feels the space widen with meaning. Ares' fingers trace a slow line along the bark of the tree, as though reading a map of grief. But there is a darker math beneath that, he says. My action did not merely warn Poseidon. It opened a door in Olympus, one that showed the gods what must be held accountable. Athena's gaze sharpens. She feels the gravity of what he reveals pressing toward her like a tide. You opened a door to what? She asks softly, to the recognition that power without measured consequence fractures the world. Ares inhales. The exhale is small and ancient. When a god believes his blood absolves him, mortals mimic that arrogance. When mortals mimic that arrogance, kingdoms rot from inside. Athena's mind, practiced in patterns, follows the arc he draws and sees the rot he describes. She nods once, almost imperceptibly. Ares turns his face to the void beyond the tree, as if addressing a crowd of years. But there is another thing, he says, stepping closer to her in the dark. This is what Olympus refuses to name. Athena feels the words like a stone dropped into the deep of her ribcage. What is it, she whispers. That I am not only an instrument of consequence, he says. I am an heir to a more ancient law. Athena searches his face for irony and finds none. Ancient law? She echoes. He hums, a sound like a metal note struck in the distance. The law that binds courage to the cosmos. He lets the phrase hang between them so that it might gather stars. In the beginning, Ares says, before Olympus coalesced into throne and decree, there was a world that kept itself through balance. When chaos overran, something rose to remind the living of their measure. I am the echo of that thing. Athena allows the notion to settle and feels the tremor that comes from accepting that one long-believed truth may not be the root truth at all. So you claim lineage older than Zeus? She asks, not incredulous but curious, testing the edges of his confession. Ares does not grant a boast, only a fact, not lineage of parentage but of function. I am the muscle the cosmos uses when spirit and law alone cannot bind a species to its better nature. Athena contemplates this as if weighing a coin of strange metal. You speak as if you are sacred rather than blood-stained, she murmurs. Ares smiles once, without mirth. Blood is the currency of the world, he replies. And I am a bank teller who insists the ledgers be true. Athena's breath is a measured line. She does not laugh. Then tell me this, she says slowly. If your purpose is so old and so necessary, why do we fear you? Ares tilts his head to the night. Because people fear the hammer that shapes them, he replies simply. They fear pain more than they desire the form it brings. They mistake the hand that tightens the forge for the face of cruelty itself. Athena hears the inevitability in his tone and recognizes the mirror of her own methods, how strategy can be mistaken for coldness. So the trial, she says, was the hammer and the lesson both. Exactly, Ares says. And Hades? Athena asks, the question softening her scholar's edge into human curiosity. Ares' eyes slow with reverence. Hades is not a jailer, he says, in the way mortals fear. He is an archivist and a witness. His voice grows intimate with the memory. When brave souls come, Hades does not punish them for being brave. He catalogues their courage, gives it a place among the dead so that memory has form. Athena imagines the underworld as a ledger room where deeds are filed and weighed, where the weight of choice is made visible. He takes what I reveal with a strictness that is not cruelty, Ares continues. It is a sanctity, the recognition that to have faced terror and still move forward is a rare and sacred condition. Athena's hands curl at her sides, a small human gesture she rarely allows. "And the boy?" she asks, voice almost a thread. Ares closes his eyes a moment, and when he speaks there is the sound of an old scar shifting. "I told Hades the boy's name. I spoke of his last chest-tightened breath, and of the thing he did in it, not what he lost, but what he chose." Athena senses more than hears the gravity of confession. "He was taken into Hades with his courage burning like a lamp," Ares says, "not to praise the taking of life, but to honor the life that chose its meaning." The night receives the words and folds them like a prayer. Athena's mind maps the implications. Hades as curator, Ares as midwife of moral form, Zeus as the distant lawgiver who uses instruments when his hand cannot reach. "You shaped his memory," Athena says finally. Ares nods. "Yes, memory is what we leave behind for the living to inherit." Athena considers the shape of the legacy. She sees empires and city-states bending their conduct to the stories the dead carry home. "You do not merely punish," she says, soft but sharp. "You edit the narrative." Ares meets her gaze and does not flinch. "I make sure the story the living inherit is one that demands growth rather than indulgence." Athena inhales, the logic fitting together like gears. "And Poseidon?" she asks, the political calculus reasserting itself now that she understands the deeper design. "He learned a lesson written not in decrees but in blood and in the silence that follows justice," Ares says. "He had to be reminded that even gods who claim oceans must answer to boundaries of decency." Athena nods, seeing both the practical advantage and the moral test in Zeus' arrangement. "You said there was a final truth Olympus fears," she says, returning the conversation to the place where confession began. Ares waits, and then lets the last truth fall like a stone into a deep well. "That we are not necessary," he whispers. Athena feels the keystone shift. "You mean the gods?" she asks. Ares shakes his head slowly. "I mean the roles we play. If mortals can learn courage without us, if they can forge their own measure, then Olympus becomes ornamental. The sentence is an accusation and a fear, gods as relics." Athena feels the weight of it like a future collapsing inward. "And you fear obsolescence?" she asks, trying the edges of his confession. He meets her eyes with a look stripped of pretense. "I fear irrelevance," he admits, "not for vanity, but because our existence shapes the world's story. If we vanish, what stories remain to teach them to be better?" Athena contemplates the possibility of gods reduced to myth and feels the ancient responsibility in her bones. "So you act," she says softly, "to keep the necessity of the gods alive." Ares nods. "Yes, and in doing so you have become what the world most fears and needs." Athena looks at him with something like pity, no, not pity recognition, an empathy born of shared burden. "You are both hammer and healer," she says. Ares bows his head the slightest fraction. "Perhaps," he whispers. They stand together in the hush beneath the leafless tree, two figures shaped by different truths, yet bound by the same necessity. Athena thinks of Zeus on his throne, of Hera's iron designs, of Poseidon's stormy dignity, of Hades' deep custody, and of the way each thread must be held taut to keep the tapestry from fraying. She thinks of the boy, of the ravine, of the trial, and of the ledger Hades keeps. She thinks of the mortals beneath the heavens who will tell stories by the light of their hearths for generations to come. At last Athena breathes out and speaks in a voice that is both decision and vow. "I will carry this," she says. Ares looks at her, startled not by the promise but by its completeness. "You will what?" he asks simply. "You will not be alone in the covenant," Athena replies. "You will be understood." He studies her face, as if measuring whether the world itself has shifted. Rs lips tilt, the ghost of a smile not unkind. "Then let Olympus listen," he murmurs. Athena nods. And together, they turn back toward the high road that climbs to the palace. The night loosens its hold like an audience released, and the first thin light of a distant dawn edges the clouds with pale silver. Athena and Ares walk side by side, two ancient shapes moving back into a world that will not yet know the full measure of what has been confessed. The world falls away beneath Athena as Ares leads her to the edge of a vision older than Olympus itself. There is no wind, no warmth, no movement. It is as though the night itself has been stripped of breath. Ares raises his hand, palm outward, and the darkness folds around them like a curtain being drawn aside. Athena feels the shift in reality, a sudden emptiness, a hush too complete to be natural. Ares speaks quietly, without ceremony or threat. This is the world without me. The ground beneath them dissolves into a barren, lightless landscape, not destroyed, not burned, simply untouched, unlived, unaimed. Athena steps forward, her sandals sinking into cold earth that has never felt ambition. The sky above is low and heavy, its stars dim as though discouraged from shining. Nothing grows, nothing withers, nothing strives. Athena scans the horizon. She sees shadows moving slow, disorganized shapes swaying in the murk like creatures not meant for clarity. At first she thinks them spirits, but then she realizes the truth. They are humans, alive, but not truly living. Their eyes glint with the dull glaze of creatures that know fear but have never known anything beyond it. Athena watches one of them crouch near a pile of dry sticks. He strikes a stone against another. Sparks fly, but instead of reaching forward, instead of daring to bring his hand toward the flame, he recoils violently, scrambling backward. He stares at the tiny spark as though it is a predator. The spark fades. The darkness swallows everything again. Athena's chest tightens. The first flame Prometheus ever brought to mankind is known here, but feared, not forbidden, feared. No one dares, Athena murmurs. Ares' voice is a low rumble. Fear is all they have. Athena takes in the hunched shapes, each one twitching at every gust of cold air. There is no dawn, she observes softly. Dawn, Ares replies, is a thing only the brave recognize. The humans shuffle toward a cluster of crude caves carved into the base of a blackened cliff. They cling to the stone like infants clinging to a cradle they will never leave. Athena approaches one of the cave mouths, peering inside. More humans sit huddled together, knees to their chests, staring at nothing. Their eyes reflect the faintest flicker of consciousness, but no spark of thought, no vision, no possibility. They are alive, Athena says. Barely, Ares murmurs. They never learned to step beyond instinct. Athena feels the cold of the cave pressing against her armor. It is not just fear, she says. It is paralysis. Ares nods once. Without me, fear is not a catalyst, he says. It is a prison. Athena steps back from the caves, her mind tracing the implications. No buildings, she notes. No villages, no cities. Nothing that requires courage to begin, Ares replies. Athena looks toward the horizon where nothing but barren plains stretch into oblivion. Without courage, she whispers, there is no foundation. Ares gestures toward the plains. Walk with me. They move across the lifeless land. The earth beneath their feet is cold and cracked, as though it has never known the weight of a plow or the fire of a hearth. Ares points toward a distant shape. At first, Athena thinks it might be a wall or a structure, but as they approach, she sees the truth. It is the skeletal remains of what could have been a settlement, unfinished, collapsed, not through violence, through abandonment. Half-placed stones, half-carved beams, tools left unused, rusted into the soil. They tried, Athena whispers. Ares nods. They lacked the spark to finish. Athena touches one of the stones. It crumbles under her fingertips. Without courage, she murmurs, there is no architecture, no cities, no Athens. Ares' voice is low. No philosophy, no law, no art. They cannot imagine a future, Athena says. And without a future, Ares replies, they crawl rather than rise. Athena looks at the sky again. The stars are dim, as though ashamed to witness the world's emptiness. What of Prometheus? She asks. What does his fire mean here? Ares' jaw tightens. Fire is a gift only the brave can claim, he says. Without me, Prometheus' gift becomes a curse. They fear the very thing meant to elevate them. Athena watches another human attempt to light a spark. His hands tremble uncontrollably. The spark flares, tiny and weak, and he recoils as though the flame is death itself. It sputters out. The night reclaims everything. They fear creation, Athena says. They fear change, Ares replies. They fear choice. Athena looks toward the endless black expanse. This world never moves, she whispers. It never will, Ares says. Athena studies him. His silhouette in the darkness is steady, unchanged, like an anchor buried in the deepest waters. And without movement, she murmurs, there is no story. Ares turns to face her. Exactly. Athena lets the full weight of this revelation settle. A world without Ares is not peaceful. It is not safe. It is not pure. It is a world without becoming, without the will to shape, without the fire to endure. The humans retreat into their caves again, curling into themselves like leaves closing at dusk. Athena hears their soft whimpers, not cries for help, but cries of confusion, as though the world itself is too loud, too large, too dangerous to face. Ares steps into the mouth of one of the larger caves. Athena follows, feeling the cold press against her skin like damp stone. Inside, a group of humans sits in silent terror. One stares at the cave wall, eyes blank. Another trembles uncontrollably, though nothing threatens him. A child curls into a hollow of stone, clutching a bone as though it is the only thing keeping him tethered to existence. Athena feels her chest tighten again. This is not life, she whispers. No, Ares says quietly. This is existence without meaning. Athena kneels beside the trembling child. He shies away, pressing himself flat against the wall. He does not understand her shape, her presence, her divinity. He understands only that she is other, and other is terror. Athena rises slowly, her mind shifting. Without courage, she says, the unknown becomes unbearable. Ares nods. And everything is unknown. They leave the caves. The plains stretch before them, empty and echoing. Athena breathes deeply. This world, she pauses. It is hollow. Ares looks upon it without anger, without sorrow, merely truth. This is the world you believed you wanted, he says quietly. A world without strife. Athena turns to him sharply. This is not peace. Ares shakes his head. This is the absence of conflict, and the absence of everything born from conflict. Athena looks out again. No heroes, she murmurs. No builders, no poets, no philosophers, no cities, no symphonies, no Athena. The admission escapes her in a whisper. Ares steps closer, his voice low. A world without me is a world without you. Athena's breath catches, not from fear, from understanding. Because I shape the mind, she murmurs, and the mind is shaped by trial. Ares nods. Without trial, there is no wisdom. Without fear, no courage. Without courage, no creation. Without creation, he gestures outward. This, the barren world, seems to pulse with emptiness. Athena feels the truth settle in her bones. Mortals need war, not for death but for definition, not for blood but for bravery, not for chaos but for becoming. Ares looks at her with eyes like quiet storms. You understand, he says. Athena meets his gaze. Yes. Ares lifts his hand again. The barren world begins to dissolve, its colors draining into shadow. The caves vanish, the trembling humans fade, the plains crumble, the stars go out. Athena stands at the threshold of reality as the world without Ares collapses into dust. Ares lowers his hand. Silence falls. Real silence. Not the empty kind, the full kind, the kind that carries truth. Ares speaks one final sentence, the sentence that defines everything she has seen. Peace is not the absence of war, Athena. Peace is the reward of courage. Athena closes her eyes, and for the first time, she understands Ares completely. The sky above Olympus deepens into a bruised violet, the color of secrets held too long beneath divine marble. Ares and Athena walk side by side, their footsteps echoing faintly across the high ridge that leads toward the throne of the king. Neither speaks at first. The night is thick with something unspoken, the kind of silence that forms when two gods know the next truth will reshape the world. Athena studies Ares out of the corner of her eye. He moves with a strange mixture of certainty and quiet expectancy, as though every breath draws him closer to a conclusion he has long accepted as destiny. Ares' shoulders do not carry the tension of conflict. They carry something heavier, conviction. He looks toward the summit of Olympus, where the throne of Zeus glows faintly with the light of endless storms. When he finally speaks, his voice is steady, unforced. Do you know why I will take that seat one day? Athena's breath stills. She has been waiting for this question since the moment their journey began, but her own voice remains even. No, she says quietly. I know why you believe it. Ares stops walking. The wind tightens around them like a held breath. He turns toward her slowly, his expression unreadable in the dimness. Then tell me, he murmurs. Tell me what you think I believe. Athena faces him fully now, her eyes clear, sharp, unwilling to flinch. You believe Zeus has chosen you, she says softly. Ares does not deny it. Athena continues, her tone calm but edged with calculation. You believe he sees you as the one who carries his fire, the only one forged directly from his storm. Ares' jaw tightens with subtle affirmation. You believe, Athena says, that by doing what no one else will do, the burdens he will never touch, you have earned Olympus. Ares says nothing. He does not need to. The night speaks for him. Athena steps closer, her gaze unwavering. And you believe he trusts you more than any god alive. Ares inhales sharply at that, though it is not surprise, it is recognition. Athena waits. Ares speaks at last, voice low and resonant. Zeus trusts no one. He turns away from her, looking toward the swirling clouds above the far-off throne. But he understands me. Athena nods. That much is true. Ares continues walking, more slowly now. Zeus knows I will not betray him, not because I am obedient, but because I do the things he cannot be seen doing. He lifts his hand slightly, and he knows I do them without ambition, without delusion. Athena tilts her head, but not without purpose. Ares glances at her. No, never without purpose. The path climbs higher, the air thinning as marble pillars begin to rise around them like white ghosts in the dark. Ares continues. Zeus has always prepared a successor, he says. He is too calculating not to. Athena's eyebrows lift. And you think that successor is you? Ares stops again. His eyes burn in the shadows. You know what he told me, he says in a voice barely above a whisper. Athena's heart beats once, heavy and slow. What did he tell you, Ares? Ares closes his eyes briefly, recalling the memory with a reverence deeper than worship. He said, Ares murmurs, a king is not the one who wins the world. A king is the one the world cannot move. He opens his eyes, and then he looked at me. Athena absorbs this silently. It is exactly what Zeus would say, and exactly the kind of sentence that reveals everything while promising nothing. Ares continues, his voice strengthening. He told me a king needs 3 things: strength, resolve, and the will to carry consequence. Ares turns toward her again. And I am the only one who carries all 3. Athena feels the truth in his words. Ares does possess all 3. But she also sees what he does not, the shadow beneath the meaning, the intention behind the intention. She speaks with careful precision. Ares. Zeus does not give answers. Ares' gaze sharpens. He gave me one. Athena's voice remains quiet but gains a layer of iron. No, he gave you a mirror. Ares stiffens. Athena steps forward, her expression unreadable but resolute. Zeus does not choose heirs through words, she says. He chooses them through silence. Ares exhales slowly, but he leads me. Athena shakes her head gently. No, he positions you. Ares' jaw clenches. What do you mean? Athena's eyes glint in the moonlight. You said it yourself. You do what others will not do. Ares nods. Exactly. That is why Athena cuts him off. That is why he needs you. That is not why he would crown you. The night freezes. Ares stares at her, a muscle ticking in his cheek. Athena continues with devastating calm. You protect Olympus from rebellion, from cowardice, from weakness. Zeus depends on your presence the way a king depends on his strongest general. She steps even closer. But kings do not give their thrones to generals, Ares. Ares' gaze darkens, not with rage but with seismic disappointment. You think I am blind? No, Athena replies. I think you are loyal. And that loyalty, she says, makes you see intention where Zeus has left only ambiguity. Ares turns away sharply. Zeus has guided me since I could stand. Zeus has shaped me more than Hera ever did. Zeus has trusted me more than he trusted Poseidon, more than he trusted Hades, more than Zeus trusts necessity, Athena says quietly. Ares goes silent. The wind returns, brushing the edges of the marble pillars with a soft hiss. Athena continues, you are the most necessary force in Olympus, and Zeus never reveals his hand to the pieces he needs the most. Ares closes his eyes. And Dionysus? He asks after a long, weighted pause. Athena inhales slowly. He is another piece. Ares turns back toward her sharply. A rival? No, Athena says. A variable. Ares glares. You speak in riddles. Athena's voice softens, but her words cut cleanly. Zeus keeps Dionysus close because Dionysus is unpredictable. Even Zeus cannot chart his shape. Ares waits. Athena continues. Zeus keeps you close because you are predictable. The truth lands like a blade on stone. Ares straightens. Predictable? Yes, Athena replies. In your resolve, in your loyalty, in your refusal to betray Olympus. Ares' eyes narrow. And what does that mean? Athena steps closer until they stand almost shoulder to shoulder. It means Zeus does not need to name you heir. He already knows you will act as though you are. Ares' breath catches. Athena's voice becomes almost a whisper. And that is more useful to him than any crown. The weight of her words hangs in the air like a suspended verdict. Ares looks toward the throne again. The storms around it swirl slowly, whispering language no mortal ear could hear. Athena watches Ares carefully. She sees the way the truth reshapes him from the inside. Not broken, not defeated, recalibrated. Finally, Ares speaks. Then why does he never deny it? Athena's response is immediate. Because ambiguity allows him to control Olympus without speaking a word. Ares lowers his gaze. Then I have been a fool. Athena shakes her head. No, you have been a son. Ares looks away, jaw tightening with a quiet ache. Athena continues, her voice low but unwavering. And Zeus is a king. Ares exhales slowly, shoulders shifting with the weight of clarity. And you? He asks. Why do you doubt I am heir? Athena's answer is soft and final. Because a true heir does not need to believe. He is told. Ares closes his eyes. Athena finishes with a whisper, and Zeus never tells. The silence stretches, heavy and sacred. Ares opens his eyes and speaks a final truth. Perhaps I do not need the throne. Athena nods. You never did. Ares looks at her, but I will protect it. Athena's voice softens into something rare respect. You always have. The wind stirs. The path to Olympus gleams faintly ahead. Ares looks toward it one last time and murmurs, if Zeus will not speak truth, then truth will speak through me. Athena places a hand on his arm, not as sister, not as rival, but as equal. We will shape the future together, she says. Ares nods once, and together they walk into the rising dawn. The night settles gently across the quiet fields, folding darkness over the world like a soft blanket. Athena stands in the stillness for a long moment, letting the final fragments of her thoughts settle into silence. The wind brushes lightly through the tall grass, each blade swaying with a rhythm too slow to be called movement. It feels like the earth itself is exhaling. Ares stands a short distance away, his figure outlined by the dim glow of embers lingering in a dying fire. He does not look at her. He does not need to. His presence is steady, familiar, heavy as the night sky. Athena watches him quietly, committing the scene to a place in her mind where memory feels like stone. He kneels on the earth, back straight, head bowed, sharpening his blade with calm, precise strokes. The soft whisper of metal against stone fills the air. Not harsh, not sharp. A slow, gentle rasp. A lullaby made of steel. She breathes in deeply, letting the cool night air fill her chest. It is time to leave him. Time to let the night close around his solitude. Time to return to Olympus with a new understanding settled inside her like a candle that will never go out. Athena turns away at last. Each step soft, deliberate, unhurried. Her sandals brush lightly across the grass, the faintest whisper of sound accompanying her departure. Ares does not stand, he does not follow. He simply continues his slow, steady ritual, the sharpening of a weapon that may never need to be used tonight, but must always be ready. The sound follows her, soft, rhythmic, metal gliding against stone in a perfect, hypnotic cadence. The night embraces the sound, carrying it like a secret through the cool air. Athena moves away from the field, the landscape opening before her in gentle waves of shadow and moonlight. The world around her grows even quieter, her breath slows, her mind softens. The tension in her shoulders unwinds like silk. The sky above is vast, heavy with stars, each one flickering like a silent observer. The moon hangs low, dim enough that its light feels like a whisper rather than a glow. She takes another step, and another. The field grows larger behind her. The world softens ahead of her. Her thoughts drift, slow and weightless, like leaves floating on a still lake. There is nothing to fear, nothing to question, nothing to analyze, only quiet, only breath. Only the gentle rasp of Ares' blade fading softly into the night behind her. The rhythm stays in her mind. Slow, steady, calm. A heartbeat made of metal. Athena closes her eyes briefly, letting the sound become part of her breath. In, out, in, out. She opens her eyes again, and the world feels wider, deeper and softer than before. Her footsteps grow slower, lighter, barely touching the earth. She feels as though she is walking through a dream not yet fully formed. The grass murmurs beneath her. A distant owl calls, low and soft, then falls silent. Even the wind seems to move more slowly for her. Time stretches, breath lengthens, thought fades into the edges of darkness. She walks until the sound of a rest blade becomes nothing but a faint echo in the distance, and even that echo becomes memory. Athena stops on a small hill where the horizon meets the sky in a seamless line of silver and shadow. She looks back once, but only once. The field is dark now. Ares is only a silhouette, kneeling, working, calm, alone but not lonely, sharpening a blade not for war, but for meaning, for readiness, for the promise that courage, somewhere in the world, will rise again with the sun. Athena turns forward, exhaling softly. Her voice, if she spoke now, would be but a murmur lost in the night. But she does not speak. There is no need. The truth between them is quiet and complete. She continues walking. The hill slopes downward gently beneath her feet. The night deepens even more, becoming almost velvety in its darkness. The stars pulse faintly overhead, each pulse a reminder that the universe breathes even when the world sleeps. Athena slows her pace to match the rhythm of the sky. Her thoughts drift like feathers falling on still water. Her body feels lighter, her breath softer. The air wraps around her like a cool blanket. The field behind her grows farther away, dissolving into the soft blur of dreamlike memory. She walks through a cluster of tall reeds, their tops brushing gently against her arms. They sway lazily, making the faintest whispering sound, a sound like pages turning, a sound like thoughts fading, a sound like sleep approaching. Athena feels her steps grow even slower, her eyelids lower half-mast. Her breath deepens, warm and steady. She reaches a small clearing surrounded by low, rounded stones. She steps into it, letting the quiet settle around her completely. The clearing feels like a sanctuary carved from night, a place meant not for war or wisdom, but for rest. Athena closes her eyes again. The wind brushes her cheek with the gentleness of a mother smoothing the hair of a sleeping child. Her shoulders drop, her breathing slows further. The stars blur softly into streaks of silver above her. The night grows heavier, not crushing, but comforting, like the weight of a blanket settling over tired limbs. She stands there for a long time, listening to nothing. Nothing but the soft hum of darkness, nothing but her own breath, nothing but the slow unwinding of thought. She feels herself floating, not in air, not in space, but in the quiet between heartbeats. She exhales, her eyelids flutter, her mind drifts. The grass rustles lightly beneath her as she lowers herself to sit on a smooth stone. The stone is cool at first, but then warms beneath her presence. Her hands rest loosely in her lap. Her head tilts slightly, as though sleep begins to lean into her shoulder. The world softens around her. The stars slow. Her breath becomes a tide, moving in and out in easy, unhurried waves. Far behind her, so distant now she can barely sense it, Ares continues to sharpen his blade. The sound is soft, faint, barely there, yet constant, like a guardian's heartbeat echoing somewhere across the night. Athena leans back against the stone. Her mind grows warm, heavy, gentle. Sleep begins to gather in the corners of her thoughts, not with force, not with insistence, but with invitation. Her eyes drift shut. The night wraps itself around her, cradling her in cool darkness. Her breath steadies, her heartbeat slows. The world dims. A sense of profound stillness fills her, the stillness of a goddess who has walked through fear, through truth, through revelation, and now stands at the threshold of rest, A soft hum rises from the earth beneath her, like the echo of old lullabies sung by the world itself. The air grows warmer, her body grows heavier, her mind grows quiet. She lets go. She lets the night hold her. She lets the weight of her journey drift out of her, slowly, gently, completely. Airblade sings softly in the distance, a metallic whisper, a thread of sound pulling the world slowly into slumber. Athena exhales one last long breath, a breath that carries the day away, a breath that invites sleep to come closer. The night darkens around her. The stars dim to quiet embers. Even the wind lowers its voice. Everything slows, everything softens, everything rests. Athena drifts, her thoughts unspool into dreams. The field fades, the sky dissolves into velvet. Ares faint. Rhythmic sharpening melts into the background of sleep, and the world becomes quiet, very quiet, perfectly quiet. The kind of quiet that arrives only when a story has been told fully, gently, and well. Athena rests. The night holds her. The world breathes softly, and sleep comes.